It's great to see so many of you on the session today. Just to explain to you the reasons behind actually staging this event. We've been holding CPD events, continual professional development events for college lecturers for the last couple of months. They've been in all various disciplines. We did a CPD conference as well, which is designed to kind of help college lecturers in post to, update their skills, learn new things, forge links with industry for when everything returns back to normal, and also then they can pass on those skills to the students. And so we've been getting experts to kind of lead these sessions, and today we're really lucky to have Jamie Horton, who's now officially been announced as the president of the UK pastry team. He's at Le Manoir, along with Glenn Charland, and they're going to be leading the session today to make the entremet. I just want to say a massive thank you to our sponsors as well. Michelin Cooper, I don't know if you're aware, but they are the home of Matt Fabergé here in the UK. We'll be meeting Matt Fabergé. Guillaume will be introducing the brand and talking about how he can kind of support you going forwards. We've also got Valrhona, and so Marie's actually supplied fantastic chocolate samples, which you would have been sent by Kat Cooper from Michelin Cooper. We'll also be meeting Kat as well to sort of tell you a little bit more about Michelin Cooper. It's a family-run company and houses lots of really interesting brands for you. Without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to Neil Rippington, but what I will say is to make loads of noise on social media. You've all been fantastic at putting lots of stories up on Instagram, you've been doing stuff on Twitter, Facebook. We've got to tell everybody what we're doing. We're all looking forward to industry coming back and opening back up again, but in the meantime it's great that we're all together, working together for a really positive session, which will see a fantastic result in a perfect entremet. We want to see your finished results, so if you can kindly just send a picture of your finished into us, then they will be judged by Jamie Horton, and the winning dish will actually win a signed book by Raymond Blanc. So it's quite a nice prize to be won this afternoon. So Neil, if I could pass over to you and you can maybe do introductions.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to this chocolate masterclass with Jamie and Glenn this afternoon. And Jamie's assistant, glamorous assistant, I should say, he's brought his girlfriend along to run the cameras in the Manoir this afternoon. So thank you also. So we've got a busy afternoon. There's lots to do. We're going to be meeting Kat and Guillaume in a second, and also Marie from Valrhona. But I thought it'd be a great idea if we could just spend a couple of minutes, if everybody could just say hello and maybe just tell us where you're from. So could you just raise your hands and we'll go for it. See who we've got in the audience or participating. Perhaps we could do it in the chat. If you've got the chat facility, it might be easier, and then we can all see where people are from rather than shouting out. And then I can maybe read them out as they come in. That might be easier than everybody trying to talk over each other. So if you could just put your names in the chat, and I can read. So we've got Denise Charles from West London, Sue Hadfield, Crockers in Henley, Tom and Donny, Simon, lecturer at DN College Group, Hotwood Hall College, Joe Ogden, Hotwood Hill College, Sanjam, London, working at the Dorchester Hotel, Lisa Grenfell, College Gwents. God, they're flying in now, I'm trying to keep up here. Joe, working in Wales, living in Windsor. Carol, someone singing there. Some very enthusiastic pastry chefs today. I think they've been on the gin already or something. Gerald, pastry chef from the Royal Air Force Club. Rebecca, Saunders, Academy coordinator from the Chef Forum. Sorry guys, could I just ask you to mute your mics?
I told you to leave my ex alone.
So that was entertaining. Cameron Glevy, lecturer at DN College Group. Lisa Jackson, College Gwent, South Wales, front of house lecturer. This Hitesh colleague from the Sheraton Park Lane Hotel. Olivier Mason's Arms Noston. I know Mark, so I'll have to say hello. Louise Delicious by Design. Sydney Tiley from Ashdown Park Hotel. Dean and Danielle from the Vale Resort, Lake Country House. Joe Bartlett. Bijou Joshua. Barbara Pinto and Biritz Oliveira. The Dorchester, Joshua from the Grill at the Dorchester, Ashley at Kingham Plough, Tilly working at the Dorchester Grill, Harriet Morgan working at the Dorchester, Linda Burns from Cardiff and Vale College, and Francianne Tatari from Andrew Fairley Restaurant up at Glen Eagles, Scotland. So welcome everybody. Thank you for that. I hope I haven't missed anybody out. If I have, just stick it in again, but I just tried to read them as they were coming through. So without further ado, because we're coming up to 10 past 1 now, I'm going to hand over to Marie from Valrhona, and Marie is going to introduce you to Valrhona and some of the chocolates that we'll be tasting this afternoon. Thanks, Marie.
Yeah, hello everybody. So my name is Marie and I'm in charge of the marketing for Valrhona UK and Nordics, and today I'm pleased to be with you and to talk very quickly, because I know you have a limited time, about Valrhona. So as some of you know Valrhona, we are a French company, so because of that I have a strong French accent, and sorry for that. We are based in the south of France, so in a city called Talhermitage, since the beginning, since 1922. So I just put the beautiful picture of the factory in 1922. And in the slide just after, as you will see, we are still based in the same city, producing the world Valrhona chocolate in Talhermitage, in this beautiful factory. And we produce chocolate couverture, as the one you are going to use today, but also retail product and chocolate bonbon product.
French woman trying to speak English.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, so then just after there is a slide about the Valrhona Live Long policy. So basically we have a strong CSR policy where we really try to help as much as we can the partner producer country. So we are working with 16 countries across the world, and we have a strong sourcing policy in which we try to really do our best to produce the best chocolate, helping the communities in the countries producing. And because of that, last year we were B Corp certified. So yeah, I'm going quickly, but yeah, I don't want to be too long. I just have a quick video to sum up the 10 steps of the production of the chocolates. So if it's possible.
Sorry, Marie, just before, could I just ask that we put our mics on mute so that everybody can hear, please? Thank you.
So yeah, thank you for sharing the video. So yeah, you had a quick overview of how we are producing the chocolate from the plantation to the factory in Talhermitage. So I hope you enjoy this video. And now I know that you have several chocolate to test. So we can go to the testing part, and do not hesitate to follow Valrhona UK and to ask us questions if it's needed. Sorry.
Okay. That's brilliant, Marie. You're gonna stay for the tasting, I take it. You're gonna stay with us? That's great.
Yeah, so, I'm gonna stay.
Brilliant. So the next thing we're gonna hand over to Jamie and Glenn, and they're going to take us through a tasting of the 5 chocolates that have been provided for this afternoon's tasting. So over to you, Jamie.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Neil. Can you switch to camera 2, please, Alex? Can you see me okay?
Yeah, you can remove the spotlights on myself. I'll do that. There you go.
Amazing. Afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for this event. We're really excited to be taking part in it, me and Glenn. I was looking over the speaker gallery view on the laptop. It's great to see so many pictures. We're in the chef whites that feels like we're really engaged, even though we can't be with each other. It's really, really good. You're with us here in the middle of the pastry kitchen at the Manual here. It's really weird, being very quiet, but it's great to have a great audience like you here with us today. We do 5 tastings of 5 very different chocolates that we have from Valrhona that we've got very kindly sponsored. One we're going to be using for the main entree, for the Majorite, and the rest we're going to taste with you now. We'll give you a bit of information about the chocolate, and then we'll taste it along with you. I'm going to hand over to Glenn to say hello, to talk about a bit of the history about the chocolate, and then we'll get on with our first tasting. So, camera 4, please, Alex.
Yeah, hello, I was going to speak a little bit more about production of chocolate, but I think that slide covered most of it up. Obviously, from bean to bar is what Valrhona do is great. But a few little things you might not know is like, because the amazing thing with chocolate is it's all hand picked. There's no cultivation, there's no massive tractors. You know, it's all hand picked, hands picked, and it's like it is really such a fantastic fruit to work with. Like, it really is special. And yeah, I think it dates back to 1,000 BC with iron, and they used it in the energy group, and it's got caffeine. They found that they could run around a bit quicker. And then a few fruit from the fruit, and after eating the fruit, yeah, they made the New World by Crystal Numbers in the 1800s, and from there it's got from leaps and bounds. Swiss made some milk chocolate in the 1900s, and then the refinement of chocolate came about, which is what we use every day. My favourite thing to use, period, in any cooking. It's such a special thing to do, and I think I'm going to hand back to Jamie for the first tasting.
Superb. Camera 1, please. No, sorry, camera 2. Camera 2. Sorry, my bad. So we're going to go through the tasting. Sorry, that's my fault. Alex, camera 2. Sorry. So me and Glenn are social distance from each other. It's a little mile away over there. We are going to be talking with each other quite a lot, just to keep a bit of atmosphere going. So we are going to see us do this a lot and talk. And then I'll be talking to you. If you do have any questions, please chuck them into the chat box, and then Neil can read them out for us. If not, just unmute yourself, ask the question. I've got our speaker here, so I can hear you all, and then we can go for it. We've also got all the handles to tag. We've got the Instagram ones here for our sponsors and for our personal ones, and behind Glenn we've got the Twitter and the Facebook ones, just for refresh in case you do want to take any photos and to go along. If you do speak too fast, which I've got a really bad habit of doing, please just let us know. Okay, so the very first is Dolce. Now, this was created in 2012 by Valrhona. It's their 4th colour, which is their class as blonde. It was actually made by a French chef by accident. He was doing a demo and you had the chocolate in a bain marie sous vide bag, and you left it in there for too long, and then the white chocolate ended up caramelizing, where the colour comes from is effectively caramelized white chocolate. It was a very happy accident, but it actually took 8 years to develop a consistent product, and that is basically where this chocolate comes from. Now, when you're tasting chocolate, room temperature, if you leave it in the fridge for too long, you can't taste cold chocolate correctly. You need it to melt onto your palate and for it to be able to taste all the notes. So when you put these bevs into your mouth, you put it on your tongue, let it melt, let it move around a little bit, get all the flavours going, and then just let the air start flowing through your nose and start tasting. You'll get a really good, like, cookie, creamy, shortbready flavour from this one. It is really, really cool chocolate. One of my favourites, actually.
Jamie, could I just say that you and Glenn, if you could speak really near the mics, because it's a little bit tricky trying to hear you.
No problem.
Just, yeah, speak. Yeah, thanks. Sorry.
Do you want us to speak louder?
Yes, please. Yeah.
No. So it's really creamy. It's really almost like biscuity in flavour. You can almost like take like shortbread biscuits. You know, it'll go great with like mango, caramel, nuts, even mushroom. We actually use it for this little petit four here that we do with set. So it's got a lot of different possibilities you can use it with.
It's really more caramel when they're a kid.
Caramel.
Give it my love.
Okay. Awesome. That is the first one. It's a delicious one. You can use it exactly the same as white chocolate. And it's really, really good for ganaches or cremers. That's what it's ideally used for. You can use it for everything, but that's where it really, really shines. Next one, sugar lips again. Camera 4, please.
Okay, so next up, you grab your Valrhona 40%. This is like my Achilles heel when it comes to anything. I can barely cook it because I eat it way too much. It was 1995 the first time it came out. It is the most delicious tasting milk chocolate, and I think it was the first chocolate that came out which didn't have that high sugar content, wasn't too sweet, it was round, it got smokiness almost to it. I think it was lovely. So
Glenn, sorry, can I just interrupt you? It's really, really hard to hear you. Are you able to go to where Jamie's standing and he moves away, please? Because we just really can't hear you.
We switch the camera to them.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, we couldn't really hear anything.
Okay, then it might be the mic on the other side, so that's fine. Okay?
Yeah, that's
So
better.
everyone wants to try a little piece?
Which one?
Of the Javara Lacti. I don't know if anyone heard what I said before. Do you want me to repeat myself?
No, you need to do it again, Jamie. We couldn't, Glenn, sorry, we didn't hear anything you said.
Okay, sure. I think that might be muted. Yeah. Okay, so I said again, this is Javara Lacti, so we're going to take that next, which is 40%. Like I said, I don't know if you didn't hear, but it's my favourite milk chocolate, full stop. It's delicious, it's rounded, it's smoky, it's not too sweet, which it was the first milk chocolate that ever came out, which didn't have that like high sugar content and everything like that. So it's a super delicious chocolate. And it's got tea notes in it, and it can really pair with anything, with nuts, caramels. It's great for ganaches because of its pepper content, and it really is super versatile. I mean, from chocolate decor to cremers to ganaches to mousses, it is a seriously all-round milk chocolate. And if I had to work with one milk chocolate, it would definitely be the Javara. So yeah, have a little try. Tell me what you think. Really nice. Beautiful. Next one we're going to do is Manjari. Next one we're going to do is the Manjari. Now, Manjari is the one we're going to be using for the cake today. It's 64%. from northern Madagascar. Yeah, from a plantation called Milok. It's very acidic, which is why we paired it with the berries. It goes great with coffee as well, with peppers. The plantation where they created the Manjari from in 1990, Valrhona was committed to improving the living conditions of all the workers and all the plantation employees and their families. So Valrhona actually went there and built a village with 45 homes, a health centre, and nurses on site all the time. They're super committed to making the chocolate world a better place. So Manjari chocolate, 64%, super acidic, super lovely. Put it on your tongue, let it melt, give it a taste. Everything. That's what we use for the cake today, which is why we tend to go with the raspberry. It's amazing after eating the sweetness of Shivara, how acidic it actually is.
You went to the next one.
Beautiful. So I'm going to hand it back over to Glenn. And he's going to go through our next one, our fourth one.
Right, fourth one, guys, is the P125 Code Renard. It's the only chocolate that actually has a number in front of the name. And that's purely because in Japan, it's impossible, pretty much, to pronounce the name when they were doing ordering and everything, when they were like buying it in. So Valrhona actually put a number in front of it to make it a lot more accessible for that Asian countries to order, which is amazing. I think it's quite a cool thing to do, and it also corresponds into how much more intensity it is than 100% cocoa paste, which is 25% more intense. So you're going to take this and you're going to try it all at the same time because it'd be amazing. This is going to be a massive difference to all the other ones you've had, and I love it. It really is one of my favourites. So instantly it's more crumbly, it doesn't melt as much, it's super intense. It's almost like a really heavy red wine. Like it just kind of strips your mouth, it's like almost tannin. It strips your head of all the moisture, but it is also super delicious and super deep. Using this in cakes, in ganaches, in cremas, in especially ice creams and sorbets, the intensity, which is paired with a bit of sweetness, is ridiculous. You're never going to get that intensity of flavour with that little chocolate inside a recipe. So that's why it's one of my favourite chocolates to use, just because I love chocolate and then intensity in recipes. I wouldn't suggest sitting with 500 grams in front of the TV, but it's definitely one of those ones you want to be using in the kitchen. And I really love it. So that's P125.
So the first time I use that, or in the bowl, or like.
Oh yeah. As a chef's note, when you're melting this slowly, because I think every time any chef has ever put this in a bowl in the microwave, it's just like, what's that smell? Yeah. it burns very quickly because there's little fats in it. That's delicious, but delicious but dangerous.
Epic. We'll go to our last. If you do want to have a drink in between, please do. It's absolutely fine. The leftover of the Manjari, we're going to use for the recipe later. Just to put it with the 250 gram bag you all got in your boxes as well. The last one is very, very different to what we tasted already. So Valrhona have a range of chocolates called Inspiration. And these are basically flavoured chocolates as such. They're made up of cocoa butter, sugar, dried fruit, and cocoa butter. Sorry, cocoa butter, dried fruits, sugar, and obviously ingredient. Masterclass. Thank you very much. There's 5 different flavours. Here we have the raspberry, but we have almond, passion fruit, strawberry, and yuzu. They're almost kind of like jammy in flavour, but once you use them in application, the flavours shine through a lot more. So with this one, when you taste it, it's going to be very heavy on fruits. You can use it exactly the same as like chocolate. You can still temper it. It works exactly the same. It's very, very, very interesting. And the great thing about this is you can use it quite well with like, nut milks, or even like water. For the year last in the World Cup, I was playing around at one point with a beetroot and raspberry crema. So I was actually making this chocolate straight into a ganache with, into a crumble, with beetroot juice with a bit of tremolline. And it works beautifully. So again, put it in your mouth. So I put it on your tongue, let it melt, and taste it. It's super fruity. It does taste like raspberry jam. It's really, really intense. It's lovely. Something brilliant. And that's those 5 tasting. We picked those 5 chocolates because they are all very, very different from each other. Valrhona's got a massive, massive range. So it's quite difficult to choose which one, but I think those ones really, really stand out as stars as such. Are we going to go to Mitchell Cooper now for a little demonstration?
Unless Marie would like to add anything from Valrhona.
Jivara, it's not Jivara lactate, it's just plain Jivara.
Marie, would you like to say anything?
No, for me, the tasting notes and description were perfect. So thank you guys, and I hope you're going to enjoy the next of the events.
And we're also going to send out the tasting notes on the PDFs that you sent over, Marie. So we'll send those out to everybody next week.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So thanks, Jamie, Glenn.
Just very quickly, Neil.
Yes.
Can we just quickly switch to camera 4 for us, Alex, just so we can see if the audio is working properly? If not, we'll move the camera.
Okay, try now then, because it's very hard to hear. Go again. Try again, Glenn.
If you can hear me if I speak now.
It's a bit better.
Yeah, so if I speak like this, we don't take the demonstration. I would be doing more hands-on, a little bit of explaining. You can hear that?
It's just about, but I think you just really need to speak loudly and maybe as close to the mic as you can get.
Okay. Well, okay. I think, yeah, we can't get anyone close to this on that one. Is that all right?
Well, I think we'll have to try.
If it does, we'll try and change the position of it. We'll leave it there for the moment.
Yeah. Okay. We'll give it a go and see how we get on. If not, we'll change. Okay. So we're going to go over to Kat now then. So Kat and Guillaume. So
hi. Hi everybody. Thank you. Thanks, Glenn, and thanks, Jamie, and thanks, Marie, for those really tasty chocolates. Really good. So I'm just going to do a little intro to Mitchell & Cooper, really, and then pass over to Guillaume to talk about a little bit more about our relationship as partners. But here is just a little presentation. 1 second. Okay, so Mitchell & Cooper, what do we do? So Mitchell & Cooper, we are designers. We design, we manufacture, and we distribute light commercial equipment and bar equipment to the hospitality industry worldwide. We are 142 years old this year. We were established in 1879, and we are still run by myself and my brother. So we're still a family enterprise to date, with a 4th generation of Coopers, which is a nice and privileged position to be in, and exciting times. We're the home to the Bonza brand, which I'm sure many of you know well as the kitchen workhorse, the Bonza can opener, the benchtop can opener with the iconic red knob. But we also produce and we also manufacture portion control, dispensing, and barware as well. We are known for our quality products, our reliability, and trusted product solutions for our customers, really. But not only is the key to success of Mitchell & Cooper to the manufactured routes, but it's also our partnerships with other fantastic manufacturing brands, which I'll talk through in a bit more detail in a minute. But we offer off-the-shelf type products, we offer specialist products, and also some bespoke and tailor-made products for the industry. So our in-house brands, our manufactured brands are Bonza, which is obviously the benchtop can openers, the dispensing solutions, portion control, barware, and also Crustastan is a new one that we have added to our portfolio, which is the humane dispatching machine, which is new to the market. We distribute a number of brands, obviously Mat for Borgia, who are with us today. We also deal with Nemox, Silicamart, Cerol, Tucker, KitchenAid, etc. But I'll talk through them a bit more. So this is sort of repeating a little bit, but can openers, portion control, cup and lid dispensers, mainly found in service stations and quick service restaurants, and barware, which is primarily for the professional market, but we've recently launched, which you would have received in your boxes, a more homeware tool, a plastic jigger, which has very finite measures, which is quite a nice new introduction to the range, but yeah, it can be used in the home, especially right now, making cocktails at home. But our distributed range is Mat for Borgia, pastry, baking, cookware, stand mixers in KitchenAid, ice cream machines, stick blenders, knives, Deglion, Excalibur, dehydrators, and thermal blenders. But in terms of our partnership with Mat for Borgia, it's been a long one and a very good one. We have known Mat for Borgia and been dealing with them for about 30 years, there or thereabouts. I'm sure Guillaume has some numbers. And we have a really, really strong relationship. The first product that we introduced to the Michelin Cooper range from Mat for Borgia was their iconic whisk, which I'm sure everybody has used and knows well. As we know, Mat for Borgia produce premium products that have become the staple of the professional kitchen worldwide, and we're very proud to be in partnership with them. They're very progressive in developing the UK market, and this year we look forward to being a bit more present in the end user market alongside Mat for Borgia. So hopefully hear from us a bit more. Just in terms of what we hold in stock at Michelin Cooper, we don't hold everything. We have currently 4,337 to be exact products on our books. But that said, they are for quick purchase. But that said, we actually offer the full range on the Mat for Borgia products, so we can turn them around pretty quickly. We hold key lines in house, and then we order 1 to 2 times a week, so we can bring in the specialist kits as and when we need to. So yes, keep open the communication channels with us, and if you need anything specific, then we can certainly help with that. And that's it from me. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody for being part of this. It's a great session, and I'm going to pass over to Guillaume. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Everyone hear me? That's fine?
Yes, clear. Very good.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you for your presentation. So I'm Guillaume Perez from Mat for Borgia. I'm pleased to meet you all. And to see so many people at the same time. It's been a long time. Thanks to Catherine Neal and the Chefs Forum team for making me participate to this great event. So I work for the company Mat for Borgia. I'm a area sales manager in charge of the UK, Ireland, and Spain. So as you know, we are manufacturer of equipment for the catering industry. I think you have probably already seen or used our products. I hope that everyone received this big book, our Bible. So I will briefly introduce you to who we are, what we do, and with the help of our distributor partner, Michelin Cooper, how to find our product in the UK. So I will send my presentation. Here we are. Are you seeing it?
Yes, it's good. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So to present our company, we are French manufacturer since 1814. So we opened our business in the big food market, the famous one in Les Halles de Rungis in Paris. And today the group Matfer Bourja has 4 large modern factories, and we are more than 1,000 people who's working for the company. So our watchword are quality, tradition, and innovation. All the chefs are knowing our product for the quality of our products, and we are trying to improve every year with more new products and innovations, thanks to one R&D really reactive and proactive. So for your information, and as Mitchell and Cooper, we remain a family business on a human scale, and for your information, the owner is the 4th generation of the same family. So profits and everything are coming into innovation and not to shareholders, which is a really good thing to get new product every year. So we've got in our warehouses more than 16,000 products through our different catalogs. So the Matfer one that you have now in your possession, the Bourja, the Vaucanson, In Situ, and Flow. Matfer is the light equipment. Bourja are specialized in products for the cold transfer meal distribution. The Vaucanson is for tailor-made kitchen. The In Situ for tableware, and the Flow disposable. So there is mainly all the products that we are doing. So our frying pans, our pans, all the products in exoglass materials. Your spatula that you must receive on your parcel, the EVO spatula. So all those products are known about good quality and the hard wearing and resist temperature to the other ones.
That best spatula I've ever used.
Good to hear. So all the products from Bourja, also we are stainless steel manufacturer. So all the gastronome pans are made in our factories. All our trolleys, shelves also. All the cupboard products to maintain temperature. We are also designing and making all the tailor-made kitchen for different type of restaurant kitchen or projects. So this is something that we can do also, and we are working now with big chefs like Frédéric Anton. We've made past year the kitchen of the restaurant de Jules Verne, which is one of the most famous. This is the restaurant of the Eiffel Tower restaurant, for your information. And some other products In Situ and Flow. So what I really would like to introduce you is 2 things. Is our new blog, Matfer Bourja. So now you've got the address. On our blog, you can find all our digital platform, all as Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Our YouTube channel, sorry. You can watch our videos on these platforms, and I invite you to follow us on these different networks. So in this blog, you can also find articles on recipes of our best chef partners, such as Callum Franklin, who is talking about one recipe, or another famous chef, which is Cedric Grolet. So you can find a lot of article and contents about those guys, and also the one article regarding the project I talked to you, our realization and our project. So this is one address you have to see, because we are making a lot of culinary trends on it. We are talking about our innovation in terms of information and news about our brand, this is the place to be. Another new thing that we are launching next month will be our new digital catalog. So I think that you received our paper catalog, but we will move, as you can imagine, to something more digital. And we are working since 1 year now in a digital catalog where you're gonna find all the products from our catalogs. The visibility of them will be easier. The information will be complete. So you're gonna find on it a certificate if you need any certificate or any information really precise on products. You will see everything on this catalog. Another thing really interesting on this digital platform is that you might be able to do a wish list on it. So with that, you add all the products that you need from our catalog. That will generate an Excel list. We will receive it. You send us to me or to Kat all the information, and then we're gonna have the order quickly, and we're gonna have the information really quick. So that's a new tools for the you chefs. Really interesting to have the product quickly into the UK. So I invite you also to go and visit this beta version that will come in English in the next few months. But that will be really a good tools for you guys to find our product into the UK. And the last slide is almost all the information Kat sent to you earlier. We've got a really big relationship with Mitchell and Cooper. We are working with them for over than 20 years, and we are working with a really good relationship. They are working into the UK with a really good service, with a really premium catalog, and that's in phase with what we are doing. So we are really happy to get this relationship with this nice company. So that's all for me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to listening to me. I hope my French accent didn't hurt your ears. I really invite you to follow us on social networks, the Matfer Bourgeat Instagram, which is really good, and to keep the address digital catalog, which should be in English in April. So don't hesitate if you need any other requests to ask to me or Kat, and I really wish you a nice end of event who looks really great.
Okay, thank you both. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Guillaume, for your presentations, and thank you for supplying all the equipment that we're about to put to good use, I hope. So now it's time for us to get going on the practical activity. So we're going to be using the equipment supplied, and we're going to be using the chocolate supplied from Marie and the team at Valrhona. So unless anybody has any urgent questions, we'll get on with the practical activities. We'll be back over to Glenn and Jamie. I think it's important now that we all sort of interact. Obviously, we can't have 40 plus microphones on at the same time, but if you do want to say something or ask a question, flick your microphone on, ask the question, stick it in the chat. I'll be looking in there. It's up to you. If people want to have a chat, that's absolutely fine. But just use your mics sort of wisely, have them on, off and on as you need them. Otherwise, we'll have too much background noise. So unless anybody's got any urgent questions, we'll get straight over to Jamie. You've got 2 hours and 15 minutes to make this masterpiece, Jamie. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Neil. Camera 2, please, Alex. If you do all want to turn your cameras on, if you're happy to, I have got you all on a screen right here, so I can see what you are all doing. I can see you all looking at me and waving. One person's waving too. It's made it right. So how this is going to work? Over here, we're going to be doing the cake. So I'll be doing the cake with you, going through all the steps from A to Z on how we're going to do it. And then on Glenn's camera, he's going to be showing you some decoration techniques, seasonal techniques that I'm not going to go into until we show you. Basically, show you how you can use chocolate in different ways to create decoration. Right. So we're going to start with chocolate crumble. We're going to go old school. We're going to make it by our hands. We're going to have a little race to make a chocolate crumble first. So in your bowl, you're going to get your butter. You're going to get your flour. And then you can get your sugar, your demerara sugar, ground almonds, salt, and cocoa powder in with the butter. And all we're going to do is going to rub this. Now, we need to rub this together as quickly as possible because we don't want it to melt and bind into a big mass together. We want to mix it until it's just mixed and nice and crumbly, like a finished texture without having to break it all down. So get your hands into there, start mixing it all around. I'm watching you all go for it. Like Neil said, if you do have any questions. Like I said, if you do have any questions, just please fire them into the chat or just unmute yourself and ask them. That's fine. Hopefully, your oven set at 175, 180 degrees. Get your rings ready, put some baking parchment underneath it on the tray. Alex, if you want to go to camera 1. And you see there, it's just coming together. I'm actually almost like rubbing my fingers together and crossing my hands, almost holding my own hand. Just get it all nice and bound. I'm only going to do this just until the butter is mixed. Yeah. If you want to mix by hand, you can use it. I used to always see guys at work or who have work experience, people on the inside. You should try and learn everything by hand first. Make it by hand before you make it with machine. So you know exactly how it's supposed to be. So, you see there in my camera, that it has started to bound together into a crumble. It's not, it's all mixed together. It's all loosely mixed. If I raise it up to the camera, you can see it's actually a crumble mix now. Okay, now you're going to weigh 45 grams of that into your ring. If you don't have any scales to hand, it's going to make probably around half a centimetre thickness of the ring.
You can't, like, you've got nice covering, you can't see the part.
A nice coverage. And you're going to put this into a 12 centimetre ring. Sorry. Crumble mix straight in. Like so. And then just put your fingers, just push it down a little bit and just spread it around, just so you get a nice. So you get a nice coverage on the base. If you do this, put a little bit more in there just to cover it all. Put a little bit more in, just you don't want to see these gaps. Just like so.
Easy to make down.
Yeah.
What ring? The bigger one or the smaller one?
12 centimetres, the larger one. That's going to go into the oven, 7 to 8 minutes. I'm watching you all on the screen.
Is it the big one?
Yeah, the big one.
The bigger one. Jamie, there was a question, that's the larger ring, isn't it, that you're using? The larger
it's
of
the,
the ring.
it's the larger ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the larger ring, and we're going to go at 45 grams. If you do need to put a little bit more than the 45 grams in, then put a little bit more. It's absolutely fine. It's just to cover his can't so you can't see the bacon bottom. It will settle down though into it. So the second recipe that we're going to do. The second recipe that we're going to do is going to be the flourless chocolate sponge. So, for this, you need a small ring. You need a smaller ring, some baking parchment, a whisk, the little sieve we've got in our box, and we're going to make a meringue. Now, if you do want to use a machine for this bit, you can. We are going to make a firm meringue by hand, and I can promise you, you are going to learn something fast. Sorry, you're going to learn a way of making a fast, firm meringue now by hand. I am going to race you all to make a firm meringue by hand. It's going to take less than 2.5 hours. So, ingredients wise, we've got our sugar, got our cocoa powder, egg yolks and egg whites, with your egg whites, put them into your medium bowl. Now, do not add any sugar yet. We're going to start whisking it to a firm meringue first by hand. If you add your sugar now to your egg whites before you start whisking it, you're going to make the meringue you're going to make that egg whites too stiff to be able to whisk to a nice firm meringue too fast. So, start whisking. Remember, it's a race. You're going to make this with no sugar, just into a nice firm meringue, okay? As you see there, oh, camera, there it is. Firm meringue, done. Now we're going to start whisking in slowly the sugar with it. So if you get a little cloth, put it on the table, your bowl on top. We're going to keep moving it, and we're going to slowly sprinkle in the sugar as we're whisking. Very, very slowly. If you add your sugar too fast, it then will make you quite a loose meringue. So you want to keep it moving whilst adding your sugar. I decided to do it like this because a lot of people don't have mixers. And how do you make a meringue if you don't have a mixer effectively? Like this. Keep sprinkling in whilst whisking. There's a crumble ready, then it's taken out the oven now. Whose wrists hurt? Put your hand if your wrists are hurting. Yeah, mine too. That's why I had to stay down and have a break. So, sugars in. Almost 3, 2, 1. All your sugars in. You've got a lot of signal. And then you've got your meringue. Okay? And that's ready to rock and roll. So, you've got your meringue ready now. You can get your egg yolks, and you put it straight into your egg whites. Give it a couple of mixes. Don't mix it all right, just so it's combined. You go back to camera 1 for us, Alex. That's fine. You don't have to mix it. You don't have to mix it all the way in, because we can start adding the cocoa powder. So now that's 2/3 of the way mixed in. Get your cocoa powder and just sieve it in using your beautiful new little whisk you got in. Sorry, new little sieve you got in your boxes. I'm going to fold this in, or I'm going to use the whisk to fold it in. I find using a whisk to do folding a lot more effective than using a spatula. You could seven races in one to cleanse it right with it. So, taking the crumble out of the oven, it wasn't quite ready. And that's 7, so 5 turns 2. 5 turns 2, beautiful. Put that right on. So, all we're going to do now is just mix this around. Now, when you're mixing, go to the bottom, bring it to the top. Don't mix it all in, you'll find out you've got loads of mix at the bottom still. Go from the bottom and bring it up. You can give it a bit of aggression, but there's so much sugar stabilizing that meringue, you can give it a bit of aggression. And then that's how quick you can get mixed. Done. Snap off the wedges. Put it in one more snap bowl. We're going to finish it with the maurice. Scales out again. And we're going to weigh into the scales. Sorry, rephrase. We're going to weigh onto the scales in the 10 centimetre ring, 45 grams of this sponge mix. grams of sponge mix into your ring. Spread it around with the tip of your beautiful new spatula that you just received. And that's going to go into the oven for 8 minutes. Okay.
Did you say 8 minutes, Jamie?
8 minutes for now, and then finish another 2 on the ruling. Now, the crumble is on a hot tray, so don't touch it, Jamie. No matter how experienced you are, you always thought it was hot tray, I don't know what that is. Just, we're not going to take out the crumble completely, but just take a little paring knife with your crumble and just chisel a little bit around the outside, because we're going to need this ring in a bit. Just to make sure the collar that's going to go around the outside. Right. You are going to have some little bits left over, some sponge mix and some crumble mix. We are going to bake it off. You can bake it off on whatever you want, however you want. We're going to show you a couple of little variations that you can do with leftover things during the demo. Okay. So I'm going to cook them off, and we're going to show you how to cook, to do some stuff with them. Cook them however you want. Crumbles here, cooked out the oven, cooling down. The ring is going to be used for the colour shortly. The sponge is now in the oven on 8 minutes, maybe another 2. Right. I don't want to rush ahead and leave anyone behind. So does anyone need a little bit more time, like a minute or 2? Or are you happy for me to go to the next stage? If you either unmute yourself and just let us know, or just quickly drop a little message in there. Microwave meal is ready now. That was cheeky dinner now. Midway lunch. Lisa, is that a question, or do you ask you for some more time?
Right, my sponge is just going in.
No problem. Right, the next step, guys, is you're going to temper the leftover chocolate that you've got from scaling your manjari. So I think it's about 170 grams that you use in the chocolate mousse recipe. So whatever your leftover manjari chocolate is, including the stuff that you have left over for your tasting, that's going to be used now. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is temper your chocolate. Get it melted and get it tempered. Okay. I'm going to hand over to Glenn, and he's going to go through a tempering process with you that you may have not seen before. So if you're not 100% confident on tempering, follow along with Glenn now. And if not, just temper your chocolate and keep it until we show you how to do your band round side. Once your crumble is cool enough to take the ring off, and that's going to be used to shape the ring. Okay, so Alex, if you could go to camera 4 now for me, and you're going to do some chocolate work with Glenn. Any questions, please shout out. If not, Glenn, over to you.
Right. Can anyone and everyone hear me now?
That's much better, much better.
That is fantastic.
Boom, we're away.
Right, so I'm going to try and bore you a little bit, or interest you in how you see it. A lot of people know how to temper chocolate. If you're really tempering chocolate, which I know some of you are, then go ahead in the way you see fit. I mean, you can get it done in 5-10 minutes, absolutely perfect. If you want to be tempering in the background and kind of listening, that's great. But I am going to go through. It's not a cheat. It's like it's a shortcut in how to not clean up. I don't really like washing up after chocolate. It's absolutely disgusting. It's everywhere. So this is actually a technique that is the same as the table leg. So you're going to run the chocolate to 45 degrees, which is like your normal top temperature. With dark chocolate, which is complete decrystallization of all the cocoa butter fats, all 5 types of cocoa butter fat. So once it goes to the and if you notice, protein shooting at like 35, 38 degrees, some of it is starting to melt. So that means that from the cocoa butter melts at 36 degrees. So from 36, 37 degrees, it starts to melt it. And the last of this fat strand will finish melting at 45, if that makes any sense. So after 45 degrees, you know your chocolate is completely decrystallized and ready for the tempering process. At 45 degrees, you've got all the unstable crystals known to man in your chocolate pot. And then, so when we start cooling it down, we're going to start bonding those crystals back together again, like a wall. And then with that slight increase in heat that you have, so when you bring it down to 28 degrees, like it says in your chart, and then when you bring it back up to 31.5, 32 maximum, that's when you're eradicating the last unstable crystal. So if that makes any sense, I hope it did, because I try and explain it in a way that, on my mind, it's fairly simple. But that's the science behind why you temper chocolate. You're making it stable. You're stabilizing the fat. Otherwise, I'm sure we all have times, which is also called fat migration, which means the fat is unstable, so it wants to move around it twice. And that's where you go quiet. You don't get that snap, you don't get that, doesn't want to retract away from the mold. It looks streaky, it's trying to crystallize. All of these problems from not tempering it.
Why?
I was just thinking about talking to Simon's team, picking up, so I'll do that. I can do that.
I had that problem yesterday. I mean, what you want to do is, when you decrystallize your chocolate, you really make sure. Oh, another thing, make sure a lot of places before, where they go, oh, we're having so many troubles tempering our chocolate properly. And actually, I take a probe, I boil water, it's 3 degrees off. 3 degrees in chocolate is like the difference between English temperature and the right. It's massive. So you really want to be sensitive to your temperatures. That everyone kind of understand what we're going for? Thumbs up. Understand a little bit? Yeah. 2. Right. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my melted chocolate. I'm going to temp it. Make sure it's above 45 degrees. I'm going to show you a little technique on the marble to make sure when you're tabling temperature, you'll be a little bit cleaner, a bit more efficient. This is really good technique when you're at home, or if you're in a workplace, if you're doing 500 grams of chocolate. I wouldn't recommend doing it for 3 or 4 kilos. But the small amount, if you want to try this technique along with me, make sure you have some cling film on deck and your chocolate ready at 45 degrees. I'll give everyone just like 20 seconds. All that ready?
Okay. Lisa, you've got your hand up. Do you want to ask a question?
Say again, Neil?
In the Lisa had her hand up, but the digital hand gone. Is everybody okay? You started off well there, Glenn, but then it was really difficult to hear again. I don't know why. It started off okay, and then it sort of lost you again.
Are you okay now?
Yeah, I think it just sort of fades in and out a little bit. But
okay, well,
I think the gist was that you're going to get the chocolate to 45 degrees and get some cling film on the table.
Yep, that's just a and the rest of it, there's a little bit of theory behind the decrystallization.
Yeah, you were talking about making the fat stable.
Exactly, and that's all that's temporary, making sure everything is happy.
We're not doing a seeding method. We're going to do a method of table tempering, but a cleaner version. Alex, if you want to switch to camera 3 for us.
So this is actually something I tried at home because I've got wooden surfaces at home. I don't have the luxurious marble marble.
I think Lisa was saying that she couldn't hear very well, or couldn't hear.
Have you got camera number 3 there, Alex?
Yes, I have.
Okay. You can see I have my chocolate melted. I've probed it to make sure it's 40. I've got 47 degrees, which is nicely decrystallized. So this is what I'm going to put a layer of cling film onto the bench. So we know that when we temper, you need 2 things. You need movement and allow the temperature to come down. Okay? So I'm going to say 80% of this is going to go onto the bench. Okay? So 80% of the chocolate onto the bench. Okay, I'm then going to fold the cling film over itself, flatten a little bit, and over itself again. So now it's encased by the cling film. I'm then going to turn over, and then I'm going to put my probe. I'm going to fold it over onto the probe. So that is really 1.5. So not quite there yet. Let's turn it over one more time. Using the temperature of the bench. And you can see there's zero mess on the bench at the moment, which is lovely. Okay, so just using that movement, and then I'm going to do it again. Fold it over onto the probe. And I'm just ticking over to 27.9, which is absolutely on point. The bowl's here, cling film above. And the chocolate's going to go back into the bowl from the cling film at an equal temperature of 28 degrees. So this now, stir around with the little bit of uncrystallized chocolate. Okay, I'm going to recheck the temperature, which should, in theory, have come up a little bit because of our chocolate that we've left in the bowl. And I'm looking for an even temperature of 32 degrees. And I have 31.9 total. Okay, so this is also practice and feel. I'll be honest with you, chocolate is hard. You make a lot of mistakes, and it's about practice. It's about the feel as well. How much chocolate did I leave in the bowl? How much am I taking out? So that it equalizes then at 32 degrees. Unfortunately, chocolate does take practice and practice and practice and reading and practice. So the more confident you become with it, the quicker, more efficient and cleaner you are at it. But so in theory, at the moment, my chocolate will be tempered. So it's gone up to 45 above, down to 28 on the bench, a little bit of chocolate left in the bowl. Put chocolate in, and I knew that with the little bit of chocolate left in the bowl, then that's just going to boost it back up to 32, eliminating unstable crystals, and we're ready to rock.
I've got one thing I forgot to mention. I do apologise.
No worries.
Just very, very quickly, guys. I do apologise, guys. I am going to flip back. I do apologise. I made a mistake. We need to rehydrate the gelatin for our raspberry jelly. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. Sorry. If you're using leaf gelatin, put it into ice cold water now. It's important it's ice cold, otherwise the gelatin will start to melt in the room temperature water. If you're using powdered gelatin, add the water in the recipe to the powdered gelatin now. Give it a little good mix, and then just leave it until we start using the jelly recipe in a moment. So rehydrate your gelatin now for the raspberry jelly. Okay, I'm going to flip back to Glenn. Camera 3, please, Alex.
Okay, there's a few different ways to test your chocolate is tempered. A lot of people like, you can rip off a corner of greaseproof paper, dip it in. I find that's a waste of greaseproof paper. So just the end of a palette knife, dip it in your chocolate, and then leave it on the side for about 30 seconds. If you see it starting to lose its shine and its streak, genuinely, I'll never be able to say that word. That is tempered. What I like to do as well is, obviously I'm using a cold surface such as a marble. I just dip my finger in, flick it across the marble, and I can see it's already losing its sheen. So if you're at that point, then happy days. And also, another thing to say is people think that if you when you put your chocolate back in the microwave, if it needed, to bring it back to 31.5, 32 max. If you take it above, it's not the end of the world. So 32.5 up to 33 with Valrhona chocolate is such great quality. You have a little bit of leniency in it. But anything past 34, you're going into like I said, 34 is the bottom temperature on the cocoa butter. You're going back into decrystallization territory. Then if that happens, you have to start again. It's not something you can just, I don't know, magic back to life or add a little bit more salt. It's not one of those things. Once chocolate is decrystallized, you go again. So make sure when you're putting it back in the microwave, for example, to bring it back up, low and slow. Or over a bain-marie, really slow. Like just, take your time, make sure it's good. Of course. Jamie's just asked me to say to everyone, the sponge, when it's out of the oven, into the fridge to cool down, please. Like the messenger.
I'll put it in the chat as well, just in case no one saw the message.
Okay, so now that everyone's got their chocolate tempered.
Camera 3, please, Alex.
Nearly.
Also, just to say, while people are just getting ready for this, you just need to also, can I ask, you get your acetate for your collar, and a pair of scissors and a palette knife, and a small paring knife. Of chocolate. You add unstable crystals.
Yeah, this one. So can you explain a little bit about over-crystallization? We've got 2 meters of present.
Over-crystallization, as in adding unstable crystals into it so it's thick.
Also, chocolate.
Okay, so over-crystallization in chocolate. If, for example, if your chocolate starts to set around the edge of the bowl, which is very common when you're working with chocolate, it's going to want to crystallize from the outside in. So if you see that you have bits in your bowl that are starting to over-crystallize or started to get, if you introduce that chocolate back into the main mass, it's going to confuse the whole bowl and it's going to start to seize. So it's going to start to turn thick like a ganache. Don't know if anyone's seen it before. Milk chocolate especially is like very naughty for this. If you add a little bit of unstable crystals in, that is stuff that's crystallized on the side, it will start to the whole mass. So it's going to be hot and thick. So no matter if you ping it in the microwave, it's not going to work. Okay. So yeah, that's one thing I would do to counteract that. I have a bowl of untempered chocolate on the side, so holding it 46 degrees. You see your chocolate dips to about 30 degrees, no lower. You add a little bit in just to bring back that temperature and to break through.
What temperature do you want this to be at to spread?
Sorry?
What temperature do you want the final chocolate to be at to spread it over the acetate?
So when you bring it, so you're bringing it down to 28 on the bench and you bring it back up to 31.5, that's perfect working temperature. Work with that chocolate until it gets to 30. When it hits 30, you're going to want to start reintroducing. Yeah. Then you
wait until it's publicized, so you can.
So then you, when it gets to 30, when you give it a little bit more heat, then you've got a little bit longer time in working with chocolate.
Yeah. What's going on?
So Glenn, we see you've lost camera 3. Oh, it's back. It's back.
Thank you. It's a bit too neat. I'm not used to it.
I'm at 28.5, so you
that's the wrong one.
Degrees.
If you're at 28.5 in the bowl, you want to bring that up a little bit warmer.
Okay.
Okay, So now you have your chocolate on hand. You have your acetate color. You're going to take your scissors that I asked again, but I haven't got myself. Your camera free, Alex, please. You say 7 centimeters, wasn't it? So 7. Good, you agree.
That's perfect.
You go. And you're going to want to take your collar. You're going to measure 7 centimeters, and you're going to cut that off. Sorry, I take that back. 17 centimeters, and you're going to cut that off. And you can save that on the side because I can show you some decor what you can do later on. You are now going to turn your so curly side down, so it's easier to work with. Also, another tip, what I would do here, if you're working in a kitchen or even at home, you've got a little pastry brush with a bit of oil. What I do, a little bit of grease spray, just a little dash. So even 1 cow spray you get in the shops, just on the bench. You're going to pop that down. It's going to stick on that side. Okay, you almost can't see it now, but it's here. Okay, and that way, when I put the chocolate on top and I spread the palette knife, nothing's going to move, and it's going to make it a whole lot easier doing it. And you can take that application anywhere. Whenever you do plaques, what always I do is I slightly grease the bench so that nothing's flowing around, and then I'm not going back on myself. It's just a cleaner way of, like Jamie said, and I've said before, chocolate is a messy thing to do. So you want to make it as efficient and clean as possible, or you're going to lose your mind. Exactly. All right. Okay, so obviously we're going to take the ring off the crumble because we're going to need that now for the collar. So you're going to take that lovely 12 centimeter ring that you've been given off from the crumble. We'll be using the outside of it, so a little wipe on the inside. It doesn't need to be properly washed. Okay, so everyone got their strip face down. And now what I'm going to do, so you're going to go a very small amount of chocolate. Yep, just making sure. Small amount of chocolate all the way along the strip. Okay? Don't go crazy, it's fine. Okay, and you're going to take your palette knife and using 1 finger at the end and your hand at the top, you're going to spread a nice even coat all the way along. After that's spread, you're going to take a palette knife or a pair of scissors. You're going to run along until the top curls out so you can get your hands on. You're going to lift it up, running your fingers down and then place it above. When you've placed it above, using your palette knife if you like, just clear up that mess so you're working nice and clean. That chocolate that's on the marble, if you introduce it back into your chocolate, this will, when you start getting over-crystallized chocolate and seized chocolate. So me personally, anything off-cut, like an off-cast, goes in a separate bowl. That gets melted again, and then you can use that, reintroduce it to your tempered chocolate to keep it nice and crystallized. Just going to turn the heater off for a sec because it's now like Benidorm. Okay. So you might see my chocolate has started to crystallize straight away, so we know we're ready to go. As soon as it started to crystallize, so you can touch your finger, you're going to take a cocktail stick and you're going to go up and down, making crown, like a crown sign. Up, down, up, down, up, down, like a wave. Wave, 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 wave. Wave, 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 wave. Chocolate off, chocolate up, chocolate round. Quite simply, like Okay, and then all you want to do is make sure that chocolate can be held there, like this. Okay, so I'm going to put my scissors there a sec. I'm going to use, you won't have it on hand, but maybe a date label if you're in a kitchen, masking tape if you're at home, anything just to gently keep that like that. Putting the chocolate band around the ring, chocolate, when it crystallizes, it contracts. So that's now going to contract around that ring, keep that shape, keep that form. If you take the ring out now, it's going to look like a wave itself. It's going to get very bobbly, which can create its own what we're looking for in this demo. So round the ring, round the ring, lightly taped, and then that goes somewhere cool. Can you see this? Round the ring. And this, you can see, if you make the waves big enough in the crown, then you're going to get 2 crowns out of 1 acetate. Because I've done it, it might happen today, they break. Chocolate is very fragile. And just to let you know, if it breaks, if it cracks, it could be too thick or too thin. Don't think that you spreading thicker chocolate on acetate makes it any stronger. It doesn't, because it reduces the flex the chocolate has. So you want a nice happy medium. Again, this is quite, if you wanted to simplify this slightly for this cake, you could take away the technique from the cocktail stick with the wave and do a plain band, and that still looks very sleek. And I would suggest if you're intermediate, well, if you're a beginner to intermediate, if you're practicing this, get that nice clean band good first, and then start playing with techniques, because it does. You have to be very quick, and your timing does have to be on point for that. So now I'm going to put that on the side. I'm going to let that start to crystallize, and then ideally, and then let me just a little bit of information, chocolate info for you. Chocolate likes to crystallize for 12 hours. So 12 hours at 18 degrees, even if you want to be really, really cool, at 80% humidity. Okay, so that is like so if you went to a chocolate laboratoire, that's what they've got dehumidifiers, they've got everything you need. But we're fine, just make sure you put it somewhere cool, 18 degrees, for at least 2 or 3 hours. So after this demo is done, when you're finishing your cake, one of your final touches will be demolding your crown. Obviously, I'm going to show you how to demold your crown because I've got one behind. But just leave it now somewhere cool to completely crystallize. You should be good to go. I think back to Jamie with the cake.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Ben. So now we're going to go on to the next part of the cake, just while we're tidying up, and then we're going to switch back to doing some more chocolate. So one time that we're tidying up, I'll explain the next step. I've got a sponge here, it's all cooked, and you're going to see the sponge has completely collapsed. But it's supposed to, it's fine, it's all planned like this, it's fine. So where that void in that sponge is now, that's where we're going to set our jelly for inside the entree. It's collapsed because there's no dairy in it, there's no solids in there. It basically is just a meringue, flavoured meringue with sugar. It's got a boost to hold the onion. So that void that you have see here is going to be filled by this jelly that we have here. So what we're going to do, we're not going to cook it. The jelly, we're just going to make it nice and fresh. Fresh and cleanness is what you always want to try to achieve with an entree, which has got a lot of chocolate there, it's a lot of rich, it's a lot heavy. So, in your bowl, you're going to get your raspberries into your bowl, and you're going to add to that the sugar. It's very important to tap a very nice tune when you're tapping out your little pots. Noise everyone around you, it's brilliant. Right, and then when you have that, you get your little whisk, and it's going to break it all up. Now, if you have your hydrated gelatin in a powder form, you have the little bowl just like so. It's already hydrated in it. If you've got it in leaf form, put the leaf sorry, take the leaf out of the water, squeeze off all the excess, put it into a little bowl, okay? Give your crumble freeze a uniform amount of juice to make them sort of a nice, smooth, but yet a bit lumpy texture, like so. Take a little bit of this and pour it on top of your gelatin. And then, without putting it on the table, hand it to Glenn. And ask Glenn, can you please microwave that for 25 seconds, please? And he says, wait. Right. While we wait for that, make sure that's nice and smooth. And what we're going to do, we're going to take your paring knife and you're just going to go around, just around the outside of the ring. You don't want to go too deep, maybe about ½ centimetre. Just release the top. And what we're looking for is, if you look on the camera, there's a gap. I'm trying to show you. There's a gap just here where the sponge is and the ring is. We want to make a gap around the outside of about ½ centimetre. So from the knife, not all the way around, just around the outside, and then just push down just a little bit. And you're going to see there in that camera that you've got the ring is released a little bit around the outside. Okay? Back in your tray. That's lovely. And
did you line that ring? Sorry, did you line the ring with greaseproof?
No. Or no ring. No greaseproof. Literally mix straight into your ring.
Okay. Did you didn't put any grease on the ring or anything like that? It's just straight on there.
Nothing in the ring. Literally, the mix was made and poured it straight into the ring with nothing prepared.
Okay.
What is grease to be inside? Yeah. If you do, then all the cake will start to fold in itself. If you don't grease it, so it always holds to the outside. Okay.
Yeah.
So give your little bowl of gelatin and raspberry mix and mix. And now this is a very important stage. You add your cold to your hot, not your hot to your cold. Because the temperature difference there, this will set instantly into your cold mix. But if you do it the other way around, the temperature will slowly come down and you can incorporate it all together, otherwise you get lumps of gelatin. So add your cold to your hot, give a little mix as you do so. And once the majority is in there, give it a nice little mix and add it all back into your large, using your beautiful new spatula. Give that a mix. Then we're going to fill the void that is ever so apparent right there. Now, do not put it right to the top. You're literally going to leave ½ centimetre from the top of the sponge. So pour it in. Leave that little gap around the top. And you're going to see there, if I lift it up, that it's in there like that. So you basically got the puddle of raspberry jelly set inside there. That's now going to go back into the fridge. Just while I tidy up a little bit. And then I'm going to move over to Glenn again to show you demold the colour. I'm going to demold the colour. Show you how to demold the colour later. Okay, he's going to show you how to demold the colour for later. Okay, so jelly, sponge. How much? It depends on how much air. Sorry, it depends how much air you put into your meringue and how much you mix it. I didn't write a weight down because it really does depend. It doesn't matter how much jelly you put in. You just need to take it just underneath the top of the sponge. So the weight will vary depending on how much air was in your sponge. I lost the word there. So the amount will vary, okay? But basically just want that lip.
Okay.
So it could be 100 grams, it could be less. Okay, that's going in the fridge now, okay?
try and stay near the microphones if you can, because it's much clearer when you're closer to the mics.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. How's everyone doing? Are we up to speed? Does anyone want me to go over anything? Does anyone want to explain any of the chocolate steps again? Give me some feedback on how everyone's doing.
Well, there's nothing, I don't think, in the chat. Let me have a look. Oh, there's a few chats. Hang on. All good. How much raspberry jelly? But you've just answered that. You just use it to the lip, don't you? You put the jelly onto the sponge. The dip in the sponge. That's another question.
So the jelly that you just made, where the void is in your sponge in the ring, just pour the jelly on top of it, and you're going to fill that void to about ½ centimetre from the top of the sponge. That weight will vary on how the sponge has been made. If you made your ring a bit too soft or you mixed it a bit too much, it may be a bit flatter than if you get more air into it. So I can't tell you a weight on that part, but just take it to ½ centimetre from the top of the sponge.
Okay, and I think everybody's.
And then that's going to go into your fridge to set proof of it.
The chocolate touches the ring or the acetate. Well, it was the ring was covered in paper, wasn't it? And then acetate.
Say again, Neil.
There was a question about, does the chocolate touch the ring? It might be a bit late because I've only just picked it up, but the ring was covered with greaseproof, and then the acetate went onto the greaseproof around the ring.
I'll stop you there for a moment, Neil. It does. The way that we did it was different to the way that I'd explained. The way that Glenn has shown you, it will work the way Glenn has shown. So I haven't mentioned that.
It went straight.
So there's no confusion. Okay. So I'm going to pass back over to Glenn.
Yeah.
And he's going to show you how to demold the collar.
Okay.
Later, when yours is fully crystallized.
I'm just putting more.
Sorry, he's going to show you how to take the ring out of the collar. Yeah, and then we're going to put the ring back onto it. Cool. Over to you then.
I just want to make sure it's on camera 3, if that's all right, so you can see mines.
Yeah, all good.
Perfect. So this is the Blue Peter moment. Here's one I made earlier. Same technique, same thing, same ring. Okay, so there's a couple of steps here because it's the first thing it's going to want to break. That's like number one with chocolate; it wants to snap because that's the idea of crystallizing it. You want that snap, and that's where you're trying to gain that texture from. If it bends and doesn't snap, it hasn't been tempered properly. So that's another little telltale side of it. So it's quite tricky to get this out, but you need to be really careful. But also, chocolate's a bit like a dog; it smells fear. So it's like confidence but careful. If that makes, I don't know what that mix is, but it sounds like a good cocktail. All right. So the first thing I do, a cocktail stick. I've got a slightly longer one for lobsters, so it's just a little bit longer. It allows you to get around acetate because fingers, you have fat. Obviously, you have fat on you. Everyone's greasy in their own sense. So that fingerprint is going to transpose onto the chocolate. So the first thing I do is where you've stitched your acetate to close it, then you just take some scissors and you're going to cut down to release the tape. Okay? Do not now bend the chocolate out or pull both sides out like crazy. Otherwise, you're going to get some snapping in the chocolate. It is not the end of the world if this crown breaks in half. Because the good thing is it will always snap very clean. So when you put it around the cake, only you will know where the seam is. so it's not the end of the world. What I'd like you to do is take the first corner from the acetate and just put it back very slightly and slip the cocktail stick in between the chocolate and the acetate. This is a great technique, and now you're going to run around all the way around the edge of the chocolate, releasing the acetate, from the chocolate.
You're going in between the metal ring and
in between the acetate and the chocolate. So your chocolate will not want, if it's tempered, it will not stick to metal. It won't stick to it wants to retract away from things. And then because we put the ring round when it's already tempered, it's not going to want to stick anyway because it was already started to crystallize anyway. So I'm going between the acetate and the chocolate all the way around like so. You should be able to lift it out nice and clean. Okay. Now you have two sides of the crown. So the first thing you want to do is the top side. You're going to start going round and lifting it. You're going to push the top crown away from the bottom. Okay? Very carefully, but confidently away. Okay? And now it's a matter of lifting very gently to here, and this a lift very gently to here. Now, I'm really glad that didn't break on me because it's done it before. And I'm going to show you here. I'm going to hold it up. Yeah, just here you can see it's a beautiful, beautiful crown. This one's upside down. We don't need that in the comments. But this one here, okay, you can see that the chocolate has a little bit of flex, so I can maneuver it around the cake later. That's the chocolate being thin enough for it to move, but not so thin there's no texture to it. And that's how you demold the crown. Okay, so that now that's your mise en place. You can see the shine from the crystallization. If you're missing that shine on the crystallization, it could be that you've taken the acetate off too quickly before it's fully crystallized, or if it's very cold in the room. And then, because obviously you're going to get like thermic shock and humidity, but that comes into a little bit deeper into chocolate. So if it's nicely crystallized, when you take your acetate off, you're going to have that beautiful shine, that lovely form. And as I said, if you didn't want to do the crown, if you wanted to make it a little simpler, don't use the cocktail stick through the middle. Keep it as one nice straight band, and that goes around the cake like a collar as well, which is also very elegant if you do it properly. So this is just one step harder than a traditional collar. So I just wanted to show. Also, this can be done zigzags, like a heart monitor almost, like a heartbeat. So you can do zigzags through the edge. You can do a really, really gentle curve. I mean, this is like really open to interpretation. This is just one aspect this is one technique that you can do 10 different styles with. So really is just you play, have a feel, whatever you want to do. Yeah. So that's the crown. Nice. So you're going to put that on the side, ready for decor later. So now you've got your ring back, nice and clean, because obviously the chocolate didn't stick whatsoever. You're going to put that ring back over the crumble, ready for the actual montage of the cake itself. So that goes back over the crumble, like so. So now the crumble is back in the ring, the crown's on the side, the jelly and the sponge is in the fridge, and we are ready for the last component on the cake, which is the mousse. Perfect. So I'm going to hand back over to Jamie in the studio for the mousse, which is the last component on the cake. So everyone gets their mousse ingredients ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
I can't. Jamie, I can't hear you. Alex, can you hear Jamie?
No, he's not on mute either. Jamie, we can't hear
Jamie,
you.
can't hear you.
I think you've got camera 1 on mute. I don't know if that's... Still can't hear you.
Jamie, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, guys. Basically, I'm a chef, and this is technology. And the reason I'm not a professional technological man, so I'm a chef. All I was explaining in that 3 minutes of rounding onto myself was sieve the cocoa powder into a bowl. So you didn't hear it. It was probably, you had a rest of my voices. You didn't miss anything. All I was saying was your whites, your chocolate's melting for your mousse, and how much you love my little pony. And how much you love my little pony. Sieve your cocoa powder into your bowl, and we're ready to do the chocolate mousse. Okay, so then you microwave that. So the water for your chocolate mousse recipe, get it piping hot. If you can microwave it for like 20 to 30 seconds, do that. If not, boiling water out of a kettle, nice and hot. Water that's coming up. Where's my spatula? You want to get my spatula? You want to get anything? So, get your egg yolk into your cocoa powder, like so. How much water into your yolk? You are going to put 40 grams. So you've got your powder, your egg yolk, your water. Put your water straight inside, straight away. Give it a little bit. You need the heat there. And you're going to make that into a little paste, a little whisk, straight away. Tap that off, and you're going to scrape the cocoa powder, water, chocolate mix straight on top of your melted chocolate, like so. Okay, keep nice and tidy. Get a nice clean whisk. Get a nice clean whisk, now we're going to start to make our meringue. So, in this bowl we have the melted chocolates and the paste that we've just made with the cocoa powder, the water and the egg yolk. Egg whites, sugar into your egg whites, and let's make a meringue. It's not going to be a very stable meringue because there's a very little amount of sugar. Nearly there. You see it's coming up to be frothy quite a lot.
So, Jamie, have you already melted your chocolate?
Say again?
Had you already melted your chocolate, or was that just the cocoa powder and the water and egg yolk?
I melted my chocolate.
That's in there as well, yeah.
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 So you've got your melted chocolate and the paste in here. This is just the meringue at the moment, yeah?
Yeah.
You don't want to take the meringue too firm at this point, otherwise it's going to take a very, very long time to mix into a chocolate mix, and you're going to end up collapsing your mousse. You need it to stay quite, almost like shaving a foam texture. Nearly there, you can see. I want to say shaving foam texture. Grams of egg whites. It's going to be 200 grams of egg whites. Okay, so if you look, you can see it's really creamy. Nice firm, not over whipped. Okay, so at this point, you're going to add just a nice ladle size straight into your chocolate mix. Okay, as soon as you add that, you need to mix it instantly. Otherwise, the temperature difference will start to set your chocolate and you'll get lumps. Mix that into your chocolate and you end up with a lightened, smooth paste. It's going to be around 50 degrees because you're adding the hot water and you've already melted your chocolate down. As soon as that is mixed in, nice, glossy and smooth and lightened, you can add the rest of your meringue. Chocolate mix. And just using your whisk, just twisting and lifting. Just keep as much air in there as possible, but being as efficient as possible. Now, if your meringue was too firm at this point, it's going to take a long time to mix in, and it's going to collapse a little bit. So you can see there, it's nice and light, really boiling, and that's your chocolate mousse. Take the whisk away, go back to your spatula and make sure you've got all the mix up from the bottom. Just to finish off. I'm now going to get the jelly and the sponge out of the fridge. What glamorous put the sponge in the Thank you very much. Okay, so it's the tricky part, building. So crumble. Yeah, so when Glenn was showing you how to demold the ring, you take your ring around the outside of the chocolate and put it on top, back on top of your crumble. Okay? So we're now here, you've got your jelly set in your mousse ring, your sponge ring, sorry, 10 centimetre. Take a palette knife and run around the outside of the sponge with the palette knife. Okay, that's now released it from the outside. Take a palette knife and go underneath it, just to make sure it's all released from the bottom. Okay, so you'll be able to move it. Okay, so back to your mousse. Take a little bit of your mousse and put it in on top of the crumble. Just a little bit, not too much, on top of your crumble. So it will look like so. Take a palette knife, and what you're going to do is you're going to go up the outsides of your crumble and mousse, bringing the mousse around the outside. So if I do half of it and bring it up to the camera to show you, you better see it spreads. It's spread around the inside. We keep spinning it around. You guys see where I haven't done it. You're basically going from here up like this. This is going to make sure you don't have any air gaps inside your cake. Okay. Like so. Now you're going to pick up your sponge and jelly, and you're going to place it inside your crumble and chocolate mousse. So go underneath, like so, pick it completely up, go over the middle of your cake, slide out the spatula, and the sponge will fall into the centre. Okay. At this stage, just take a moment, just make sure it's nice and settled in there, and make sure that the sponge is below the top of the outside ring. Okay? If you've got a little bit of sponge that's sticking up, just poke it down, like so. So you'll have your 12cm ring with the crumble underneath. Then you've got your bit of mousse, the flour, the sponge, and your jelly. At that point, you've got your mousse here still. Take the mousse and place it around the outsides. If you've got a piping bag, you can use a piping bag to do this part. Just place it around the outside. You don't need to overfill it. Just like so. Then just tap around the outside. Don't go to the middle, you've got your jelly there. Just go around the outside, and there's a touch more just on top, just to see that. Now the messy part. Just flatten it off. Give that a little tap on a table, like so, and then just with your palette knife, just going to spread from the outside. Keep your palette knife nice and flat around the outside to the edge, and then spread off. Okay, I'll show you again. That'll go very quick. Around the outside like that. If you do too slow, you end up dropping chocolate mousse everywhere. There, off. Just like so. Then you're going to have it done like so. Okay, that's now going to go back into the fridge. Now, at this point, that now needs to set for 2.5 hours or so, just because chocolate needs time to set, and so does the jelly. I prepared one to show you how to finish it off. That will do it after Glenn's next demo. But now, for this one, that's going to go into your fridge. Up to where you're up to. So, to recap, you're going to make your mousse. You're going to put it on top of your crumble with the ring around the outside, the 12cm ring. Take a bit of mousse on top, put your sponge and the jelly on top. Fill it with the chocolate mousse, level it all off, and you're going to place it into the fridge. And that's where I'm up to now. Okay? Put that into the fridge. That's going to take around 2.5 hours just to set fully before we can demold it. Okay? So now I'm going to flip back to Glenn, and he's going to show you another little chocolate master demo. And then I'll come back to show you how to finish off your cake shortly. Okay? So back to Glenn, please. And Glenn will have his unmuted like I didn't. I do apologise again for that.
Before I start rambling, can everyone hear us?
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Oh, okay, very good. Okay, the next step is you're not actually going to be doing anything along with me now. So it's more of me just trying to equip you guys with as many techniques, as many little tricks, tips as I can, so you can take your chocolate a little bit further. This also will apply to people who are quite good at, who are quite experienced in chocolate. Maybe some new techniques you haven't seen, or maybe some theory that might debunk why some things aren't going right. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask for some chocolate out of the sell me machine. So not everyone's got a sell me machine on hand. It is very handy. So just getting some tempered chocolate, and I'm going to show you. The most basic technique is making a chocolate plaque. Except I'm going to make it slightly different. I'm going to make it in between two sheets of acetate. This might be very known to some people. It might be not known at all. I mean, the first time I started making plaques, years and years ago, before I joined the Manoir, I would put my acetate sheet on the table, pour my chocolate on the top, and spread it palette knife as thin as I could. And then I would use the other side, the shiny side. See, using the chocolate in between two pieces of acetate, then you obtain shine on both sides and also a nice form on the edges. So it is a little bit different. I just wanted to show you guys on a technique on how to do it. And also, Jamie said the leftover chocolate mousse in a piping bag, please. In a piping bag in the fridge. All right, let me just grab some acetate. So I have sheet of acetate here. This is 600 by 400. If you don't have that, you can buy these. I mean, it's a bit like an old overhead projector kind of material. You can buy them in rolls, in reels. So this is also like with the, for example, the collar that I showed you earlier. You can reuse that plastic as long as you don't bend or fold it. All you need to do is give it a nice polish with some cotton buds, and you're good to go again. You don't need to throw away plastic and kill the dolphins. You can reuse plastic as many times as you want, and it's all and I really do encourage it because it's very expensive. So some restaurants, for example, can't just go through guitar sheets like this, or acetate sheets, which we call them. So yeah, you can always reuse it. Just make sure you give it a nice polish with some cotton wool to take off any fat. That's the idea of polishing, taking away the fat that's left over from the chocolate, and then you can go again. You'll still get the same results because it's the same material as long as it's not scratched and fatty. All right. So again, little tricks. What I like to do is I like to use a rolling pin. You can also use really thin. So is this on camera 3 now? Just to check. It's perfect. So you can use some very small pieces of guttering. You can find this in Homebase, any DIY store. Go and get a bit cut, which is a little bit longer than 400, and you can use that. This, you'll need to apply a little bit more pressure. So you do get a feel. So the harder you push into your plaque is, the less you push, the thicker your plaque is. And obviously, so why I like using a rolling pin is because pretty much the weight of the rolling pin is enough for the size plaque you want. Okay? So I'm going to first start starting at the top of the piece of acetate here. Top of the acetate, I'm going to put, and then again, this is a little bit of feel. I'm not going to go crazy on it. At the top, I'm then going to put the other sheet of acetate on top, so there's no air. Take the rolling pin past the chocolate itself, and using the weight, I'm going to go towards me. towards the end, I'm going to taper off left and then go right to utilize all of the acetate, as you can see. And I'd like to hold this up a little bit. You just hold the camera up a little bit. Just like that. You see, that is the nice thin plate. And actually, Mr. Hamilton over here is the one who got me back on the rolling pin hype. So I was always palette knife, but no, this is very nice. It's a very nice way to do it. So now, when you're at that stage, you have nice tempered chocolate in between your acetate. You're going to want to wait until you start to feel like it wants to give. It's starting to, start cooking too early. It's going to the chocolate, and then you're not going to get any circles. So I'm going to start. Just take. This is a pure example of what you can do with it. I have a big circle, a medium circle, and a small circle. It's very technical in it. So you're going to take your large cutter, you're going to push down, push, and you're going to push quite hard, okay? Giving space in between the chocolate. I'm going to do some small discs, medium, sorry, and some small. Okay, you can see that. I've cut my discs, and you can see the light of the marble coming through. I've actually cut all the way through. And then after that, on your large discs, if you really want to be fancy, you can do another cut of a small disc. So when you demold, you have a large disc with then a hole missing. This is really good for stuff with the top of the cake we're doing now. You can put that on the top. Then you've got a little hole where you can put some garnish. You can put a little bit jelly. And then you can start putting garnish around your chocolate pack. This really gives another dimension to chocolate work and what you're doing. Also, the great thing with this is when you demold them, these plaques have shine on both sides. So you can use them vertically and they look pretty on both, pretty from both sides. So now, as soon as you've done this, you're going to get something very flat on top of the chocolate because as we've learned today, chocolate contracts. So chocolate wants to bend away from itself. So you want to get it under the weight of 2 trays. So put your acetate in between 2 trays. Allow for a nice amount of crystallization. So you're looking at, a good 4 to 8 hours at about 18 degrees. Or if you're in the shit, you can put it in the fridge for like 2 minutes and then take it out, and then you can cut that out. But you're not going to get the same. You're not going to get the same result. So 45 minutes you can do it in, but 4 to 6 hours is ideal. So you're going to put that on the side. That's the first one. So I've got these. I don't know if anyone's ever worked with sprayed chocolate or sprayed cocoa butter to give a different dimension. I'm going to try and hold this up so you can see it. Can you see that? Beautifully red shine. Okay. This is a different effect. It's more of a stardust. So it's white speckles, different shade of yellow leading into dark. And these are little bonbons. So these are tiny little ones. These are all been sprayed with tempered cocoa butter into a mold like this. So we have a polycarbonate mold, which is your bonbon mold. Chocolatiers use, it's very common. Okay, this is a basic sphere one. You can find these online. Home Chocolate Factory is a great one for in our country. They also give a discount. I'm not sponsored by them, but they give a discount for if you're in industry. So say you're a chef, even if you're not, and you get some money off. Okay, and then you can see what I've done here. I've done some Easter colours. So I've done red, yellow, and white, kind of all fading in. And you can imagine what you can put in that. You can go raspberry, you can go passion fruit. You can really just, and then you've got some options, and they just look a little bit more exotic. And you think about this on a plate of dessert. This is a larger sphere. You can use that covering something, that on top of a cake, as the bottom to an afternoon tea pastry. I mean, this technique can really go anywhere. So I'm actually going to show you how to spray the mold now. So if I could actually switch back to camera 4, if that's all right. Okay, also, so I just molded these Easter eggs yesterday as an example of something you can do, which is quite current. You can see the colors that we've done here. So I'm just going to show you, this is really super simple. It's nothing, it's not mold breaking. So I'm just going to show you how to do that as it's coming up. I mean, because Easter is the chocolatier's worst nightmare or most profitable holiday ever. Everyone to see it because it is like everyone wants it. So we've got some molds here. I also have behind me a dehydrator. I don't know if anyone's used these before. I've got this set to 40 degrees and I've got an array of cocoa butter colouring inside, which you can buy online. So if you're spraying with cocoa butter using an air gun, you want everything at 40 degrees. So 40 degrees, so by the time the cocoa butter shoots through the air and hits the mold, it tempers it down to 30, okay? If you were using cocoa butter, not in the spray gun, but like flicking or utilization with a paintbrush or anything like that, you want to melt it to 40, bring it down to 30, and then you can use it. And that's tempering cocoa butter. It's a little bit simpler than actually doing chocolate because you haven't got sugars in there, you haven't got cocoa mass, you haven't got many things, you've only got fat. So you're not actually, it's a little bit more forgiving. So this as well is a spray gun. It's the same thing you do cars with or your fence. You can pick up compressors for quite cheap, to be honest, like again online or B&Q and that. This is a professional kitchen one. So we have a compressor upstairs and the air tube actually gets dropped through the ceiling because these things make so much noise that if I was actually using it and this wasn't upstairs, it's a bit like a mechanic's where it would be just going off. You wouldn't be able to hear anything. So you take your spray gun and now I have air coming through. I'm going to use 3 colors today just to show you a super simple technique. Again, I just want you guys to have an understanding of the array of things you can do with chocolate. So I'm going to take 3 colors. And because Easter's coming up, Eastery colors are not nice for an egg. I think red's very nice, yellow's nice, whites are nice. Something which is more Easter theme, obviously yellow being prominent. Again, you can, with this, when you color your own cocoa butter, you could do like an eggshell color, and then you could speckle that with white cocoa butter after, and you really get that like lifelike egg. I quite like cartoony colors, pop art, which it looks a little bit funky. So these are the capsules that go onto the gun. That is just filled with my cocoa butter that I want to spray. So this might get a bit messy now. So let me just pop some gloves on. So just to keep in mind, when you're spraying a mold, it's reverse. So the first color you want to see is the first color you spray, and then you build the picture backwards. Okay. So if I was to spray just yellow and then I would line it with dark chocolate, you wouldn't actually see the yellow very well. Like it would be like a tint. Now, if I was to spray yellow and then spray white, then line with dark chocolate, then you've got a really bright yellow because you're backing. It's a bit like art. You're backing it up with a white color and you're really pushing that front color out. So that's how I kind of think when I'm spraying. I build backwards. Okay, so first color I'm going to do, I love red. I'm going to do red first. And you might get covered in cocoa butter now. Just so you might want to step to the left. Okay, so now I'm actually spraying. This is cocoa butter, which is bitten sprayed out. I'm going to take my mold. I'm going to take my mold, which is an Easter egg mold. I've got a very plain one. And I'm going to spray some red. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it at an angle. So the more of the egg I can see inside, that's how much is going to get covered with the spray, if that makes sense. If I hold it like this, the whole thing's getting covered. If I hold it like this and spray at this angle, only that tip is going to get covered. And that's what I want to do. And that's the effect when you get here. Okay, so I'm only aiming for the top side. So I hold it at a nice distance. Nice distance. And I'm going to coat just the top of that in red. Okay, just the top. And that being at 40 degrees, that's going to travel through the air, cooling it down, and it's going to temper it on the way. 1, 2. I'm going to do 4, just so I can show you molding as well. Okay, now I'm going to release the pressure, flip the gun, take the rest of the red out of the gun. I'm then going to connect to the yellow. Now I'm going to hold the egg the other way. So now I'm taking the red out of the equation. I'm going to spray down. And I'm just going to add that yellow. So now you have a two-tone effect, but you see the middle is actually missing because I want the white to be in the middle as well. Okay, so again, just repeat that on the other 3. There you go. That's the yellow finished. And now move on to the white, which is our last coating before the chocolate hits it, remember, okay? So the last coating before the chocolate. So this is just going to make sure those other 2 colors really pop so the dark chocolate doesn't wash them out, okay? So get the white. I'm going to turn the gun down a little bit so it's not so ferocious. I'm just going to finish that color. You can see I've just covered the rest of it in white, and now you can even see on the other side, that's the color palette that's coming through now, okay? So now, when you spray like this, you're going to want to let that crystallize for 15-20 minutes to make sure that when you put the warm chocolate, it doesn't just strip the coating straight off. So, as a rule, 15-20 minutes or until you can just touch it with your finger. So you just want to be able to touch the coating with your finger. It should be fully crystallized and ready to go. So that is the application of spraying cocoa butter onto a mold. Now I'm going to show you quickly molding and then over to you. Is that good?
Do you then settle?
No, I'm just going to show molding on this side and then I'll do the eggs separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
More chocolate?
Yes, please. Okay, so I'm going to set these to one side because I'd like to just show you how I line a chocolate mold evenly and efficiently. Now, if you have a chocolate machine, which I'm sure you don't, you can go straight onto paper because I'm going to, or straight onto plastic even, because then I'm going to let that crystallize and then I can add it back to the chocolate machine. Now, if you don't have a chocolate machine, what I would do is use a nice big bowl like this, that when you tip over your mold for the lining, it's enough surface area for the chocolate to go back inside the bowl. Then you can little ping in the microwave, bring that chocolate back up, and then you can allow for that working time. So, okay, first things first. I'm just going to show you how to line a simple sphere mold. These are large sphere molds. So I'm going to do one large, and I'm going to do, just so you see, which is the most common one, which I hope you all do, which is a classic bonbon. So it's a classic mold. So what I'm going to do now is grab a piping bag for control. I find some people use ladles to ladle the chocolate in. I find this is quite inaccurate and wasteful because then, you know, it's another utensil you have to scrape. So, piping bag, chocolate. Twist and fold onto itself just to keep it nice and neat. Pair of scissors, cutting off, like, so you're kind of making a nozzle here. So the first cut I'm going to do is actually quite small. Okay. And I am going to do this fairly quickly because the quicker you do it, the more even the sphere is. You can imagine I'm going to start piping in number 1, and by the time I get to 28, number 1 is going to be ahead on crystallization. So this technique does take a bit of practice, but you can get some good speed with it, okay? So I'm going to do this. So, okay, round and round, tap, tap, directly 90 degrees. Like so. When it stops dripping on its own, you're going to scrape down once, twice, turn round, and flip, and again. This, you can see now, is just lovely, lovely lines. Now what you want to do is put it down to the corner, so it's not facing flat on anything, it's got a bit of air. You can do it on a rack, but I put it on just the edge of a tray. Okay, now the next one, I'm going to cut a slightly bigger nozzle from the piping bag into the large ones. So now with large ones, you can be a little bit slower because you want them a little bit thicker. Okay, you're going to rotate round so you're covering all edges. And then again, over 90 degrees is so important because this way the chocolate flows evenly out of every corner. A lot of people, I see some chocolatiers or some pastry chefs knocking the chocolate out on an angle. If it's 70 degrees, if it's running down one side, it's going to be thick on one side than the other. And you can see that when you cut it. Directly over. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So nicely, all even coated. Nice and thin. Leave it there just for a couple of minutes. And then in about 1 minute, 2 minutes maximum, you're going to turn it over. It should have started to crystallize on the edges. All you need to do is take that edge off so that during crystallization, it can retract away from the mold and can be tapped out efficiently later. And efficiently later, I mean, if it's properly crystallized and properly scraped, the mold will literally just lift out, and then you'll have that lovely little shine, sheen, coating, nice and thin, with enough space for ganache, pâte de fruits, anything you want to put in there, okay? Pralines, whatever you want. So I think I'm going to hand back to Jamie.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah? Yeah. So I'm going to clear up. Again, any questions on this, any questions on techniques in the chat or via Instagram, DMs, quite happy to answer anything. So, yeah, go ahead.
Beautiful, cheers, Ben. I've unmuted myself this time, so you can hear me straight away, as opposed to last time where I made a little bit of a mistake. So while Glenn's been doing that, I've been playing with all the leftovers. I've been playing with all the leftovers. So I've got my mousse that's been in the piping bag. I've got the crumble cooked off. I've got my crumble cooked off. That was left over from the base. I've got my leftover sponge. That was all here. So I had the sponge here. I cooked it off all at the same temperature. It was all nice and flat. Cooked off the crumble. Cooked off the leftover sponge. Got the jelly. Got the mousse. And to show you how leftovers can be turned into something. So if you can go to camera 2 for me, please, Alex. So there, that's it. So here you can see 2 different variations. They're using exactly the same ingredients as we just did. You've got a little chocolate green here, it's got the mousse and the crumble inside, a chocolate pack, leftover mousse. On top you've got the crumble, around the outside a bit more jelly, a little tart cake. Just for the top, got the jelly inside, the mousse inside. It's just showing that even though you have leftovers of things that are constant, always in our tray, you don't have to just discard them. Whether it's something for staff to all enjoy or turn it into an afternoon tea. We have jelly, use it as a glaze, dip into it, use it as a layer in a green. What we've actually done here, have you got that macro tart case? Yes. Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, the actual tart case. Yeah. What you've got in your pack is this little tart case here. This tiniest one. So if you use the same method that Glenn's just shown you when you line your mold, if you treat this as your perspex mold, we've lined the tart in, we've turned it upside down, we've tapped her out, cleaned it off and put it down. When we've demolded that, we've actually ended up with a chocolate tart case. So this is not a pastry case, it's a chocolate case. Very, very thin, but it's just another way of using chocolate. You've got these beautiful chocolates, Manjari Inspiration, P125, or the other one, the Dolce. You can make this little tart case out of these chocolates. Then you can fill it with all the elements we've got left over. It's gluten-free. That's another thing. The cake we're doing is gluten-free, 100% gluten-free. Gluten-free afternoon tea. Not only that, if you replace the butter for margarine in the crumble, you've now got a dairy-free, gluten-free alternative. And rice flour for the crumble. So something very, very simple. You now got a cake for guests that are staying in your hotel. You've got afternoon tea for them, and you've got dessert options. Just leftovers doesn't have to mean that you don't have to do anything with it. You can do something with anything as long as you put your imagination to it. A little tart case just like that, or a little green.
Can I just add that not just the tart case is a mold, anything's a mold in the chocolate world. Like you look around, you've got lids, containers, like anything. You can utilize anything. You really use anything.
Yeah. Right. So now we're going to get the cake back out the fridge. The cake you put in, we're going to take it back out. We're going to get my little mask on. The one we just made. The one we just made.
No, I've got crumble mix left over.
So we've got a little cake here. Let's go for the camera number 1, please. So we've got our cake here that hasn't set, it is setting. So later on, when you come to do this, when your mousse is completely set, about 20 minutes before you want it, you put the leftover jelly just here. Just repeat, sorry, you don't have to do this now yourself. You'll be doing it later when your mousse is set. I'm showing you the next stages. And then what you're going to do is you're going to finish them, demold it, as I'm going to show you how to do it all now, so you know how to. Demold it, decorate it, take a photo, send it over, and then we're going to choose a winner, as Catherine said earlier. So, take some of your jelly, straight on top, not a massive amount. So, because this is an egg white mousse, it does naturally sink because the egg white just starts to break down. So, it's very, very slightly, you made a natural small void on top here. So, take some of the jelly, don't flood it, because you're going to make a lot of a mess. I'm going to try and not flood it. And now I probably am going to flood it, but I'm not going to try to. So we've got a little bit on top. Don't go crazy, otherwise you will go bloody. And you're just going to spread it to the edge. This is going to make it look very, very sharp when you demold it, because there's not going to be a big jelly set on top. Just just like so.
Very good.
Clean up the edge. Like so. And then you've got it glazed. Okay, put that back into the fridge for about 20 minutes. Have the other one, please. And then a bit of blue Peter, and here's one I did earlier. Now we're going to demold it, ready to serve. So just pick it up, like so, take the paper off, and put it back down. Easy. Get your serving device, mine's a plate. You can use a tray or however you want it. Put it on top of your plate, move it out of the way. So, little blowtorch. You can use a big blowtorch, you can use a small blowtorch. If you don't have access to a blowtorch, hairdryer. Use a hairdryer. Many ways of creating hot air. So, you're going to take it, blowtorch around the outside. Not too much, you don't want to melt everything that's inside and you make your plate all messy. Nice and gently around the outside. And it's going to lift up. If we go to camera, camera 2 for us. You see there, then it's demolded and you've got the lid on top. Nice, sharp and sleek, okay? Crumble on the bottom. That down, we're going to get the, have you got the ring over it? The crown's on the ring. Thank you very much. You're going to take your crown. Number 1, please, Alex. You take your ring, and as Glenn said earlier, it's flexible. Now, as soon as you pick it up and put it around the outside, it's going to stick instantly to the outside. So, we pick it up, just open it a little bit, and just lower it around the outside of your cake. Then, just push the inside around the outside like that. Like so. If you do have a little bit of colour just overlapping, just take a little bit of jelly or a little bit of chocolate and it will just stick down to itself naturally. Okay, now that's then you have, go back to camera 1 for us. Sorry, camera 2, sorry. That's when you then have your finished cake. As you can see it's there. Nice glaze on top. You've got texture from the caramel underneath. You've got lightness from the egg white mousse. It's dairy free, so it's not heavy on the palate. You've got fresh jelly inside that hasn't been cooked, so it doesn't taste like jam. It's nice, fresh, and vibrant. And you've got a flour sponge that is really nice, chewy texture. It's absolutely lovely. Now, when you guys get to this stage, decorate it however you want. Use the techniques Glenn shows you, spreading on the acetate. Tapping out molds, spraying, decorate it, go crazy, take some photos and send it over to us and we'll choose which one's the best one. I'm now going to chuck this over to Glenn because he's the master of decorating. No pressure for him. And he's going to decorate it and then we'll go from there. Right, so.
Okay.
Has anyone got any questions? Where is everyone up to? How's everyone doing?
There aren't very many. There are a few back there about the temperature of the chocolate when you mix your egg white in, but that was ages ago.
How's yours going, Neil?
Yeah, I'm done.
I saw you making a second one there. Have you dropped the first one on the floor?
I've got 2, yeah, I've made 2. I've just got to put my glaze on. I've made a couple of, I've demolded my chocolate as well, so probably a little bit early, but they've come out okay.
Nice, brilliant. You should be able to demold them a bit early, but don't go ahead about doing it too quickly, because it obviously it will collapse down.
Yeah, I've got my spare mousse in the piping bag as instructed. But they're great tips there, Jamie, for knocking up extras and not wasting anything. It's a really good idea, and especially a gluten-free, dairy-free afternoon tea is a great tip. There's lots of people looking into that these days. So it's a really good use, and with sustainability and wastage and everything else, some really good tips there.
It's good, and also you do get a lot.
Put these back on.
If you have a guest that's coming to your hotel or to your restaurant in 2 hours' time or 3 hours' time, and the last minute they requested a cake, for instance, instead of swearing, you get to make a cake very, very quickly. Now, this cake, if you use a freezer on this cake, you could probably have it done within half an hour. If you really push for time and you start running, it's a very quick, nice, easy cake to make that it is effective. Because the egg white mousse is so light, it sets very, very fast. It's a good way. And then you have leftovers, and you can do these two elements. So you like this. And there are so many dietaries that are coming out now. A lot more people nowadays are gluten-free, are dairy-free, diabetic, vegan, and there's nothing that's saying that we can't produce excellent stuff. You do see some people not creating such nice stuff because they don't have the knowledge behind it. But it is very, very simple to. With gluten-free and dairy-free, it's very, very easy to switch out between a dairy-free margarine and a gluten-free flour. Then all of a sudden you have a dairy-free or gluten-free element or something. That's one reason that we decided to make this cake, because it is very easy to switch backwards and forwards from a normal version to a dietary version. And if I gave this cake to anyone, you wouldn't be able to say if it was dairy or gluten-free. It is really, really nice, fresh and umptious. Do you want a knife?
Yeah, there's quite a few people saying that they've really enjoyed the session, Jamie. Great session, really informative, great tips to learn. Very informative session, brilliant, great session. Thank you. Very good tips about the use of the additional ingredients, the leftovers. Yeah. So yeah, I think the sound was a little bit dodgy at the beginning, but it's much better now, so that's good.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think it's because...
No, well, it's one of those things, the internet.
I think it's because we're using 4 cameras with 4 different Zoom accounts, and everyone's got a microphone, and everyone's got... It was a bit of an issue. We were doing it we were trying to work out half an hour before the session started, but obviously wasn't so we got there in the end.
Yeah.
We're just finishing up. I say we. Len's just finishing up decorating the top of the cake at the moment. Now we're going to show you. Using that technique, using all the different sizes of cutters with the acetate to make different shapes, different size plaques.
Yeah.
You can curl the acetate to make curled acetate. There's so many different shapes that you can do, and when Glenn says you can really use anything for presentation, you really can. Whether you can use a bowl, it's a plain bowl for it. I hope you all have enjoyed it.
Yeah. What, Jamie? What are you going to do with the stuff in the piping bag, or was that the stuff that the leftover that you piped into the glass?
Sorry, Neil. Say again.
Did you use the leftover mousse in the piping bag to go into your glass dessert?
Yeah.
Or are you doing something else with it?
That that there on camera 2, that is literally just piped straight in. The only thing I did was I put a chocolate plaque on top of the jelly, just so the jelly didn't go right up the sides, to make like a strong platform. Otherwise, if you put the mousse on top, it's just going to go and pop around the outside.
And also, gives you a nice crunch in between those layers as well, doesn't it?
The biggest thing when you think of cakes, desserts, or anything like that, it's texture. You have to create texture. Then just beautifully decorated that. You see that. On you go to camera 2 for me, please, Alex.
Yeah, I'll remove the.
So you see there. Then just finish decorating that.
So, oh, lovely, yeah. So, is this dessert ever featured on the menu at Le Memoir, or is it something you created?
We do have chocolate raspberry cakes on desserts for cakes, but we've not this one. We've made this one especially for you guys. But we do have cakes obviously here. If you've still got 15 minutes of the session left, we've still got chocolates on the go. Do you want to see some different shapes that you may not necessarily have seen how to do before on chocolate decor?
Yeah, if anybody wants to come off their mic and ask a question, or if there's anything you'd like Jamie and Glenn to show you for the last 10-15 minutes, that'd be great.
Yeah. What we'll do a couple more decor bits and pieces just to show different shapes and how to get twists on chocolate. That's quite cool. And then we'll put our masks on. We'll come together and then we'll answer any questions that you guys have.
I'm checking the chat. It's a lot of people saying it's a great session, cheers and stuff, but not any questions at the moment.
I think the issue that we've come up for, we speak so much, we answer everyone's questions before. I think in the next 5, I'm just going to do a quick 10-minute.
I'm going to do a quick 10-minute something, or a quick. Just the last technique I want to show you is shaped chocolates, or how you shape a plaque. For example, if we could go on to camera 3.
Yeah, sorry, camera 3 seems to have disappeared. It's on the screen, but I can't make. There's no video. I can't make it spotlight.
We've got you now, Alex.
Say again, Alex. Oh, no.
There you go. That should be on now. Camera 3.
Yeah, it's camera 4.
1 second. Still on Neil at the moment. That's camera 1. This one 3.
We seem to have lost camera 3 completely, I think.
Right.
If it's not working, I'll just switch to the laptop. Laptop, yeah, let's do camera 4 then, just so it's working. All right, all good?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
there's camera 3.
Camera 3, but right, now we're back. Right, okay, so what I'm going to show you quickly is one of my favourite garnishes, well, 2 of my favourite garnishes, which you don't see very much, even though everyone does discs. This is what I call it's a bit like a fairground when you get a rolled penny. So you've got a beautiful chocolate plaque here, which has got a nice curve on it. This can be put on plated desserts like this, when it's also like a flick. It can be put flat. It can have stuff like another tube running through here. It's got so many utilizations. It can be used this way because of the way we do it. In between acetate. Yeah, like this. And so we're going to take, and this is just before you demold it. And so I'm going to get my rolling pin again. And I'm going to cut the acetate in half because you need to be very quick when you do this. And we've had a whole fun winter of this because in winter, obviously, it's colder, and we had to make this for the actual tasting menu, and we had to do 1 per plate, 50 a service, and then yeah, so it gets you have to get very quick or.
With so many, you're covered for broken ones.
Exactly. So quite quickly, take your chocolate that you've nicely tempered, your acetate. You're going to take a small amount, I can't stress that enough, a small amount onto your acetate, like so. Another acetate over the top. Air bubbles out. Rolling pin on top. Nice dry rolling pin as well. If you find it sticks to your acetate, it means you've got a little bit of moisture there. So a really nice dry rolling pin. Nice weight behind it. To the left, to the right, and up. You have your plaque, like so. Nice even plaque. What I like to do as well, and Jamie does the same, you can always hold this up to the light, and then when you look through it, the lighter parts, hopefully you don't see any, but the lighter parts is the thinner parts. So that was quite even, quite consistent. You'll find, look, I'll muck it up on purpose. That would be if you mess it up, that's what it looks like. So you can actually look for it, if that makes sense, all right? So, quickly, when it's just started to crystallize, you feel that bend again, you start to feel that flex, you cut your discs. You take a rolling pin on an angle and you roll and tighten, like that. Okay, you want to be very quick when you do that to allow, you don't want anything to wrinkle, because if you start to try and curve chocolate onto itself when it's too crystallized, it's just going to wrinkle, and the end result will not look like that. Okay, so then you want to take a small piece of tape, masking tape, a date dot, a bit of sellotape, and then let that crystallize onto the rolling pin, like this, on the counter, 4 hours, and then after that, you'll come back to it, and it will look like this. It's fully crystallized. All you then need to do, I won't waste time demolding it all the way, cut the tape. You'll start to take the first layer off. You can see it started to reveal. Second layer off, then you go in behind and you pop them out like that. And then you have a nice rolled penny, as you can see. You start to pop them out just with the knife. So that's one utilization of the plaque that I showed you. Now I'm going to go a bit old school on the next one and not have the acetate on top. So we're just going to spread one with a palette knife. If I have a palette knife. Draw some out. About 50 degrees. Fine. Right. So, okay, so you're going to take a piece of acetate, like this. This is slightly too long for what I want to do. So I'm going to take off about 150 mil, take that away, but we're also going to use that this way, and I'm going to take off about 50 mil. And that could be used somewhere else for plated dessert, okay? So you've got a slightly trimmed down acetate here. So just what I showed you, like I showed you earlier, small amount of grease on the bench, like so, and you watch that plastic almost just disappear. All right, like this, using palette knife, taking the air out. Okay, you see that one? Now it doesn't move. Okay, done. This, ready for the chocolate. I'm going to put my chocolate down at the top side. So you can always try and work towards yourself, not away from yourself. You'll feel the thickness. You will feel the thickness a lot easier. Okay. Drop into the side, and then quite simply towards yourself and away until you have a perfectly.
Going over the acetate.
Over the acetate, that's it. Over the edges, yeah. So you get that nice thickness. Okay, like I showed earlier with the crown. Little knife into the edge, pick it up, put it somewhere clean. Again, knife into the edge, pick it up, pop it somewhere clean. Then tidy up. Okay, like so. Okay, now that should be just enough time that it starts to crystallize. And I'll put it lengthways away from me. Now I'm just going to wait for the streaks to start to disappear and I can touch it all over so that when I strike my knife, it leaves a nice clear line so that the chocolate doesn't suture against itself again. I'm going to cut strips towards myself. I'm then going to take Old Faithful and I'm going to wrap it round the rolling pin on a slight angle. This is really key. So not straight on a slight angle, almost like it's a coil or a spring. Okay, voila, like that. You can see on a slight angle, maybe a centimetre or two's angle. Now I'm going to leave this one on purpose to show you, if you're too slow, what it looks like. Okay, so put that on your rack. Oh, and so if you're a bit slow, this is what, 20 seconds on? It's going to start to, it doesn't want to fold, see? But what you can do, using a little bit of warmth of your hands, try and mould it back. And you'll get out of it, like that. I must say, I've done it before, when you're cutting your lines with your paring knife, you almost want it blunt, so you don't cut through the plastic. Okay, so put that on a rack, and then after it's crystallized, you have it here. You're going to cut down, or even better, take some scissors, like I said earlier. Okay, cut down that label. That's just what's stopping it. Okay, take the label off. Take a large cocktail stick, like we said earlier, and it's the same technique of releasing the acetate. So you want to go round, releasing the acetate all the way around, and the same top side as well. And then your plaques will start to fall naturally out. Okay. So when they fall naturally out, I'm going to try and get this close. You have a very small coil, and the more you put it up, the more you have a coil. And it's a 3D, the 3D dimension of this on top of a cake, on top of afternoon tea. It looks very sharp, and it's very modern, and it's very sleek. And yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it used enough, and it really can go anywhere. Bouche, afternoon tea, plated dessert. Yeah, and that's really just utilisation of the chocolate bag around a rolling pin. So yeah, and then the world's your oyster. Triangles, squares, go for it. Like you know, chocolate's an art. Take it wherever you want. That's it.
That little pearl technique.
That was excellent. Really good.
Until
good technique.
About 4 hours ago. So simple, but it's like It's so modern and so nice to see, isn't it? There's so many different shapes of plaques that we do, but you never know a shape until you get shown a shape. And that one, the twisted one, it's cool. You can like on top of like a nice entremet like we just made like that. Yeah. If you were to put like one, just like that, literally just like that. You can put it that way. Pop it on there like that. You can put it that way. You can put it the other way, and you almost don't understand how you can get that form. Like that's what I quite like about chocolate. If I see a technique and I don't understand that technique, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. You go. Yes, you can. Until I saw someone do that, I was like, oh, that's how they do it. That's really cool. Yeah. If you go to camera 1 for us, sorry, camera 2. Camera 2, Alex, sorry. My brain's starting to shut down now. And I'll show you how that. You can see the sort of cut it open, so you can see inside. You see the curl that's been made.
Oh, look. Looks lovely.
Okay. Amazing.
Let me know how it eats tonight,
so, we'll get our masks on and we'll come onto the same screen. If you keep it on this one, Alex.
Okay, has anybody got any final questions? Because we're just coming up to 4 o'clock now. Has anybody got any final questions? There's lots of people coming in saying thank you. But it's 1 minute to 4, so we'll just use this last little time to ask Glenn and Jamie if
how are you talking?
They have any sort of final tips or final questions. But just from me, before we go over to anyone else, guys, really well done. That was a fantastic session, really fascinating. I've got 2 desserts in the fridge ready to go and 4 crowns. So we'll see how they come out.
Amazing.
But right, so just lots and lots of thanks coming in. So anybody like to turn off turn off mute and come in and talk to Jamie or Glenn?
Yeah, thank you guys. That was very good.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Learned a lot, you know. Good news on a Friday afternoon before we go back to work.
That's brilliant.
Brilliant. Well done.
Thanks, guys. Excellent. Mark up here. Jamie, you've done with Manchester College before. Yeah, but fantastic. Really well done and fully enjoyed it. Learned loads of techniques as well. So that'll be great for the students as well.
That's what we really hope. So I just tried to pile you with techniques of that chocolate, just so you can just show people it's not hard once you have the chocolate tempered. And it is practice. I do make some things look a bit easy because I've done it 1,000 times. But the more you do it, the easier it is. You can take it anywhere. So. And with that chocolate mousse recipe, even today when I make that chocolate mousse recipe, I've still put lumps in it. It's a very easy recipe to do, but it's a very easy recipe to get wrong. So the main thing is just keep the chocolate mixture nice and hot. Yeah.
Just had a comment coming in saying how refreshing to see someone caring about not wasting. Very rare in demos.
Yeah.
There you go.
You always see an end product, but you never see what happens to the rest. And I've been to a lot of demos, such as well as Glenn has, and we see what happens to all this trim. We see all this stuff that you see here now. It's not being thrown in the bin. This is going straight to the canteen, and the rest of the staff of the manual who are working are going to enjoy it. You know, you should never. We as chefs have a responsibility to not create waste. We should be sustainable. Yeah, and if you
I've got my crumble. Spare crumble here. I've got my mousse in my bag ready to go.
Perfect. Can I just say another thing with this mousse? You can bake it. Yeah. So if you put your crumble at the bottom of a ring, mousse on top, jelly in the middle, couple of minutes in the oven. Thank you very much. That's a hot chocolate soup. But it is delicious. It might not look the prettiest, but it is delicious.
I didn't have another ring, Jamie, but I put the last cake in here. I just put it in a ramekin, so I'll use that for something. That's the last bit of sponge. I used both my rings.
And don't forget, guys, to take photos of your finished cakes and send them, and then we'll choose a winner for a book.
Yeah, tag it here, like put it on Instagram, like, you know, make it viral. We want to see everyone doing stuff as well. And even like down the line in the next couple of weeks, if you do a technique that we've both shown you, like show us that you're utilising it in the workplace or even at home. I mean, I don't do much at home, but I should do more, but do it at home.
Or any clever ideas with your leftovers that you've done, send them as well. Share us, Karen.
Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant. Just to let you
So
know,
you
guys,
deserve,
we're already getting some pictures being sent to us from finished dishes, so we'll forward those on to you so you can get judging.
Right, well, your height, whoever that is, you can have a job.
Yeah, there's no need to show off you. No, I was in the fridge we made today.
Oh, so that's what you're doing it for. New recruits for the pastry team, no doubt. Brilliant, guys. You've done a great job. So inspirational. You know, you really did teach a lot of people a lot of new techniques today, inspired a lot of people, and also, you know, just lifted spirits at a time when it's been a quite desolate time for everybody. You know, so thank you so much. Thank you for all the teaching. Thanks to all those who are on this call now who've actually taught in our academies, and let's keep it going. You know, let's keep working together, do more events like this, and then hopefully one day we'll be able to do it in person pretty soon.
Amazing, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well done,
and you guys deserve an orange juice or a beer or something, so well done.
Yeah, we all got through it.
And there's no tears.
Wonderful.
Okay, well, it's nice to see you again, Jamie.
Thank you very, very much.
Congratulations again on your achievement, and really nice to great to work with you, Glenn, as well. Fantastic demos and fantastic. Very. My wife was sitting here watching. She said, "Guys, so fast! He's so fast." I said, "What do you mean? I'm as fast." No.
Yeah, it is the only thing. It's the only thing I ever do. So I should be good at it by now. So.
No, you did. You made it look very, very easy. But your techniques were brilliant. So
I'm glad
you're a great team. You're a great team. And thank you, Catherine and Chefs Forum and Matt Bourget and Kat at Mitchell and Cooper and Valrhona for the chocolate again. It was brilliant that it's such a great partnership, such a strong partnership and contribution from everyone. And thanks to all the delegates for spending Friday afternoon on very well spent, I think.
Well, I've just written the press release, and Jamie's partner's been taking lots of pictures. So Jamie, I'm just about to email that over to you. If anyone else would like the press release so that they could do their own version to share on their news channels, on their websites, you know, on their blogs, just let us know and we'll pop it over to you as well once we get the photos back from Jamie.
Yeah, we'll get them over to you. I'm going to sleep all day tomorrow. It's Saturday. So I'll get to you as soon as possible.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Guys, have a great weekend. Yeah, if you've got any questions, just email them over and we'll get them to Jamie. But yeah, we'll see you again soon and have a lovely weekend. Thanks very much.
Cheers, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye for now. Well done, guys.